I personally took the class virtually, so my program was fully online. And in the online program, for me, in as much as it was quite intense because you are required to finish and complete within the 15 months, it was very intense, but we had quite a lot of support, both from the SALT Institute management as well as the faculty members. And the lecturers are quite dedicated. If you want to be the change is expected in the world and especially in the continent, then come to SALT Institute.
My experience at SALT Institute has been one that, by the grace of God,
online, we were able to have people from a little bit from all over, from Kenya, from Angola, from Benin, in other places, and our lecturers also, some were in the US, some are in Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, and it was a great multicultural experience. It shows the real Africa sentiment and the profound practical teachings we had. A high demand on critical thinking. It gave us a completely new environment on what we're supposed to live as a normal university we're supposed to be. SALT Institute is the university for the new generation of African leaders.
I personally took the class virtually, so my program was fully online. And in the online program, for me, in as much as it was quite intense because you are required to finish and complete within the 15 months, it was very intense, but we had quite a lot of support, both from the SALT Institute management as well as the faculty members. And the lecturers are quite dedicated. If you want to be the change that is expected in the world and especially in the continent, then come to SALT Institute.
My experience at SALT Institute has been one that, by the grace of God, I will say that a lot of virtues have been imparted into my life. I will describe SALT Institute as an institute of transformation.
I don't think so. I'm just checking.
Online, we were able to have people from a little bit from all over, from Kenya, from Angola, from Benin, in other places, and our lecturers also, some were in the US, some are in Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, and it was a great multicultural experience. It shows the real Africa sentiment and the profound practical teachings we had with a high demand on critical thinking. It gave us a completely new environment on what we're supposed to live as a normal university we're supposed to be. SALT Institute is the university for the new generation of African leaders.
I personally took the class virtually, so my program was fully online. And in the online program, for me, in as much as it was quite intense because you are required to finish and complete within the 15 months, it was very intense, but we had quite a lot of support, both from the SALT Institute management as well as the faculty members. And the lecturers are quite dedicated. If you want to be the change that is expected in the world and especially in the continent, then come to SALT Institute.
My experience at SALT Institute has been one that, by the grace of God, I will say that a lot of virtues have been imparted into my life. I will describe SALT Institute as an institute of transformation.
Online, we were able to have people from a little bit all over, from Kenya, from Angola, from Benin, in other places, and our lecturers also, some were in the US, some are in Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, and it was a great multicultural experience. It shows the real Africa sentiment and the profound practical teachings we had with a high demand on critical thinking. It gave us a completely new environment on what we're supposed to live as a normal university we're supposed to be. SALT Institute is the university for the new generation of African leaders.
I personally took the class virtually, so my program was fully online. And in the online program, for me, in as much as it was quite intense because you are required to finish and complete within the 15 months, it was very intense, but we had quite a lot of support, both from the SALT Institute management as well as the faculty members. And the lecturers are quite dedicated. If you want to be the change that is expected in the world and especially in the continent, then come to SALT Institute.
My experience at SALT Institute has been
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is my distinct pleasure to warmly welcome all of you, both participants and distinguished guests, to today's Skills Enhancement webinar on the very important theme, positioning yourself for the job market after national service. My name is Michael Ama, and I have the singular privilege of serving as your moderator for today's very special webinar. Today's event is jointly organized by the National Service Scheme of Ghana in collaboration with the Sundalus Advanced Leadership Training Institute, also known as SALT Institute. This year, the National Service Scheme is celebrating 50 years since its establishment in 1973. The scheme is a Government of Ghana program under the Ministry of Education with its national secretariat in Accra, but it has offices in all the administrative regions and districts across the country. The scheme is mandated to deploy a pool of skilled manpower drawn primarily from tertiary institutions to support the government's efforts at development, both within the public and the private sector. The NSS functions not merely as an organization, but as a guiding light for the youth of Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, I am aware that under the distinguished leadership of the current executive director of the NSS, Mr. Osei Esibe Entry, the NSS stands committed to enhancing the employability of national service personnel. In fact, it has in recent years launched the deployment to employment policy to guide the organization, not merely in deploying service personnel across the country, but also equip them to become employable. It is not a doubt that the NSS plays a pivotal role in shaping the careers and the futures of young graduates across our country. And our SALT Institute, on the other hand, is an accredited private tertiary institution located in Accra with a very strong focus on equipping and training leaders to become transformational and also to become change agents across Africa. My friends, in our country today, there are very few tertiary institutions that extend their influence beyond the classroom. Most of our universities, as you may be aware, are only focused on helping students acquire degree certificates. But education must be holistic and transformational. It must engage students both in the classroom and outside the classroom. It must equip both the heart, the mind, and the soul of the individual. And one of such institutions offering holistic, top-notch education in Ghana is the SALT Institute. We will come to learn more about the university in the course of today's webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, let us take a moment to reflect on the challenges faced by young people, not only in Ghana, but across the globe. The Ghana Statistical Service, let me just share some data with you. In the third quarter report for 2022, indicated that those within the working class ages of 15 to 35 years, about 30% of them are either unemployed or they don't have stable jobs. There's more shocking revelation to come. The high rate of unemployment has cast such shadows of uncertainty over many young people's minds and dreams. My friends, 2 out of every 3 unemployed people in Ghana are women. In fact, 2 years ago, Ghana Web published an article which caused quite some stir. That article said, according to Geoff Maslin's analysis of the variation of global graduate employment in 2019, if you are a graduate from Malta, you have a 96% chance of getting a job by the time you leave the university. If you're in the US, 96.4% of their graduates have an equal chance of getting a job. In Australia, the number was slightly lower, but it was about 70%. That analysis indicated that across Africa, the general average was about 50%. So what happened to the remaining 50? More shocking was a report by ISE, the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, which revealed that only 10% of graduates find work immediately after their mandatory national service. And it takes the remainder of them about 10 years to secure permanent employment. Let me break it down for you. This year alone, the National Service Scheme has posted nearly 200,000 service personnel. What it means is that if only 10% have a chance of getting a job after national service, there is a whopping majority of over 100,000 who are going to become members of the Unemployed Graduates Association of Ghana. As a country, we need to seriously interrogate these issues and find lasting solutions to them. Aside the lack of general employment or opportunities in our country, in fact, corporate Ghana has complained, lamented about the low skills base of university students. It is sad commentary, my friends, that people leave, the graduates from our universities cannot compose a simple memorandum, a simple office memo, or even ask them to take minutes at a meeting, and most of them will be found wanting. But the corporate world in which we live in this generation is intensely competitive, where opportunities may seem limited and your dreams may feel very distant. This is leading many young people to lose hope and despair. So why are we here? We have gathered today under the banner of hope and empowerment, made possible by the NSS Secretariat and the SALT Institute, to listen and engage in an interactive session with one of Ghana's, and I dare to say, Africa's foremost leadership strategist, personality coach, and a management consultant, Dr. Emmanuel Daytumi, who together with all of us would digest the very important subject of positioning yourself for the job market after national service. We will be addressing very important topics on how to make yourself employable in a very highly competitive corporate environment. We will also address some of the practical challenges and concerns faced by service personnel as you look to completing your national service and step out there in search of employment. I am of the firm assurance, my friends, that the 2.5 hours or so we'll spend together in today's webinar, it will not only illuminate your path, but will also reignite the flames of hope in your hearts. Let us remember that our future is determined solely, our future is not determined solely by the challenges we face today, but also by the resilience, the determination, and the knowledge we gain to overcome them. So what you will benefit from today's webinar would help you surmount the seeming challenges out there in the job market. On this note, I welcome all of you once again on this journey of learning and empowerment. Let me mention here that the webinar is also live on Facebook and YouTube. If you follow the link, you will be able to join us, and also on other social media channels. We are going to post the link again within this chat so that I've seen that I understand some service personnel across the country have been unable to reach join in with the link. We'll post the link in here again. You can share it with other friends who might be struggling to connect, but we can see that quite a number have already joined on Facebook and on YouTube. If you have any questions or any comments, please post them in the chat box, and I will do my best for the technical team to address them. Or when we come to the interactive session with our lead facilitator, we would engage in that question and answer time. At this juncture, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you one very distinguished personality who will be giving us a welcome address. And he is no other person than the rector of the SALT Institute here in Accra. Let me give you a little profile of this distinguished personality that I'm talking about. He's been a career diplomat and an accomplished academician, and he has a very strong track record spanning over 3 decades with Ghana's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. In fact, this man served in Italy, in Angola, in India, and Russia, and he became the ambassador extraordinaire and plenipotentiary to the Russian Federation with concurrent accreditations to Armenia, Azerbaijan, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Moldova, Mongolia, and Ukraine. Proud to be appointed as ambassador, he served in various senior positions, including the director of the Africa and Regional Integration Bureau of the Foreign Ministry of Ghana. And also, he was the government chief advisor on African Union and ECOWAS affairs. In fact, a distinguished personality who will be welcoming us formally, happened also to have been a diplomat in residence at the University of Ghana, where he had several laurels as an accomplished scholar. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to welcome the rector of the SALT Institute to give us a very short welcome address, and he is in the person of Ambassador Dr. Kojo Alamu. Please let's welcome him. Ambassador, you have the floor, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Michael Ama, Registrar of SALT Institute. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to each and every one of you joining us from your various locations across the country and beyond. Today marks a significant milestone in the journey of national service personnel. We have come together through this free webinar to explore a crucial theme positioning yourself for the job market after national service. As the rector of Sondolus Advanced Leadership Training Institute, also known as SALT Institute for short, it is both an honor and privilege for me to share a few thoughts with you on this remarkable journey and experience that we are embarked on together today. But before we delve into the topic at hand, I would like to take a moment to share some exciting news with you. SALT Institute is on the brink of establishing a dynamic and transformative partnership with the National Service Secretariat. This partnership is not merely a collaboration, it is a commitment by both parties to the development, empowerment, and continuing success of the National Service Scheme as it strides into the second half-century of its existence, marking as the service does its 50th anniversary of establishment. Allow me to shed some light on what SALT Institute represents. We are not just a tertiary educational institution. We are a beacon of knowledge, a crucible of innovation, and a sanctuary of intellectual growth. SALT Institute is widely recognized as a center of excellence for postgraduate education. Our commitment to nurturing and producing transformational leaders for Africa and the global marketplace is unwavering. We take pride in our alumni who are accomplishing remarkable feats across various sectors on our continent. Our achievements as an institution are a testament to our dedication to academic excellence, rigorous research, and active community engagement. We believe in the power of holistic education, as our moderator just told us. We are an institution that not only sharpens the intellect, but also instills a sense of social responsibility. Today, as we focus our attention on our national service personnel, we acknowledge that you are the torchbearers of our nation. Each one of you carries within you the potential to shape a brighter tomorrow, to forge a path towards prosperity, and to uplift the fortunes of our beloved country. You are the architects of our nation's destiny. At SALT Institute, we do not see our youth, national service personnel, as tomorrow's leaders. We see you as the leaders of today, the hope of our nation. We refuse to see you as the future of our nation. We choose to see you as the present. Our commitment, therefore, to SALT Institute, our commitment to you at SALT Institute is therefore resolute. We understand the aspirations that burn within you, the dreams you dare to dream, and the hopes you hold so dear. We want to be a part of the process of nurturing those dreams, to guide your paths and to empower you with the knowledge, skills, and insights you need to excel in your chosen careers. 3 weeks ago, on the 18th of August, 2023 to be precise, SALT Institute organized the 5th in the series of annual public lectures for transformational leadership in Africa at our own AICC, Accra International Conference Theater. Happily and commendably, the National Service Scheme was well represented at the lecture, thanks to the foresight and dynamism of Honorable Asibe Anchi, the National Service Executive Director. One of the key takeaways from the lecture is this: In the midst of the fourth industrial revolution, entrepreneurship and innovation have emerged as powerful catalysts for driving economic growth, transforming industries, and shaping the future of Africa. The convergence of digital technologies, artificial intelligence, and data-driven insights presents a unique opportunity for the continent to foster a vibrant culture of innovation and entrepreneurship. This convergence does not only have the potential of revolutionizing business model, but also creating an ecosystem that nurtures creativity, problem solving, and sustainable development. It is an ecosystem that should help us leapfrog traditional models and adopt cutting-edge solutions in various sectors of human endeavor. Just like mobile money services have revolutionized financial inclusion, allowing millions to access financial services without needing a traditional bank account, so can we deal with Africa's unique challenges, ranging from education and health accessibility to energy shortages through entrepreneurship, innovation, and creative problem solving. In this pursuit of excellence, we are embarking on a partnership with the National Service Secretariat, National Service Scheme that embodies our shared vision. Together, we aspire to equip national service personnel with the tools you need to navigate the complexities of the job market. Our aim is not merely to prepare you for employment, but to empower you to become leaders, innovators, and change makers. As we gather virtually today, we extend our open arms to welcome as many of you as possible to the SALT Institute. We see in you the promise of a brighter Ghana, a Ghana where talent meets opportunity, where dreams find wings, and where leaders rise with purpose and serve with integrity. The theme of today's webinar, Positioning Yourselves for the Job Market After National Service, is both timely and pertinent. We recognize that the journey to success is often paved with challenges, but it is also adorned with opportunities. As national service personnel, you are not just seeking employment. You are embarking on a quest to make a meaningful impact, to contribute to our nation's growth, and to fulfill your aspirations. It is our collective duty to empower you and provide you with the insights and knowledge you need to navigate the evolving landscape of the job market. And that is what we seek to achieve through today's webinar, to be facilitated by my good friend and brother, Dr. Emmanuel Day-Tumi, who, as we have been told already, is a renowned leadership strategist and a great partner in fulfilling the vision of SALT Institute. In conclusion, I encourage all participants to approach this webinar with an open mind, a thirst for knowledge, and a determination to succeed. Together, we shall explore the paths that lead to success. We shall unveil the secrets of employability, and we shall empower our national service personnel to seize the opportunities that await them. Once again, I extend my warmest welcome to each one of you. My wholehearted appreciation to the Executive Director of the National Service Scheme, Honorable Osei Asibeanchu, and his gallant team of administrators. Thank you for making today's event possible. Let us all embark on this journey together, for in unity and shared purpose, we shall empower our national service personnel to step confidently into the world of work. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your attention. God richly bless you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Dr. Kojo Alabo, Rector of the SALT Institute. Indeed, as we partner together, we would empower our national service personnel into the world of work. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now the turn of our Executive Director of the National Service Scheme to give us his keynote address. Let me tell you about this transformational servant leader whom I have come to admire in the last few years that I have known him. Mr. Osei Sibe is a distinguished figure in governance and business, and he currently occupies a very esteemed position of Executive Director of Ghana's National Service Scheme. Until his current role, he served as the Municipal Chief Executive, that's the MCA of KMA, Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly. His illustrious career, marked by a rich tapestry of experiences and achievements, is a testament of his unwavering commitment to public service and entrepreneurship. In fact, during the tenure of His Excellency John Ejikun Kufuor, the former president of Ghana, Mr. Antwi played pivotal roles in the Ashanti Region's administration. As a Deputy Ashanti Regional Minister, he diligently executed his responsibilities. He served as a District Chief Executive in several prominent district assemblies, including Adansi South, Asante Akim North and South, Obuasi, Busumtwi, and Amansie Central. His ability to navigate the intricacies of regional and local governance earned him the respect and admiration of his peers and constituents. In fact, before venturing into political leadership, Mr. Osei Sibe Antwi distinguished himself as a shrewd businessman and enterprising visionary. He founded Silk Coat Company Ghana Limited, a prominent paint dealership, and established Amant Prestige Company Limited, which is a consultancy service known for its excellence. As if his entrepreneurial prowess wasn't apparent, he assumed the role of general manager for the World Bank-funded ultra-modern KGTR terminal project, further solidifying his reputation as a dynamic leader in the corporate world. Mr. Antwi's journey toward public service began with a foundation in finance and taxation. He honed his financial acumen as an inspector of taxes at the then Internal Revenue Service and his accounting skills at Abura Printing Press. They are the publishers of the renowned Pioneer newspaper, where he served as an assistant accountant. These experiences equipped him with invaluable financial expertise that would prove valuable in his subsequent roles, both in the public and private sectors. On the academic front, Mr. Antwi boasts a remarkable educational pedigree. He holds an international executive MBA specializing in marketing, a testament to his commitment to lifelong learning and professional development. Additionally, he possesses a graduate diploma 3, and his education as a member of the Institute of Commercial Management underscores his dedication to excellence in commerce and management. But he is a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Directors. And in recent times, he's been telling me of his desire to even pursue more educational laurels. This is a man who doesn't stop learning. Mr. Osei Sibe Antwi is also a Chartered Institute of Administrators and Management Consultant member. He won the Global Mayor Challenge Awards, West Africa edition, in 2013. He was selected among the 15 best global mayors worldwide during his tenure as the CEO of the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly. Mr. Osei Sibe Antwi is an exemplary figure, a multifaceted leader, astute entrepreneur, and consummate team leader. His remarkable journey from the realm of business to the corridors of political power reflects that this is a man of unwavering integrity and dedication who has consistently delivered outstanding results in public and private endeavors. His legacy is not only etched in his impressive resume, but also in his very positive impact on the communities and organizations fortunate enough to have been touched by his leadership. And you do recall that in my introductory remarks to this webinar, I did mention that the Secretariat has launched the deployment to employment policy, and this happened only under his tenure. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our distinguished Executive Director of the National Service Scheme, Mr. Osei Sibe Antwi, to give us a keynote address. Good morning, sir, and your audience, please.
Good morning, my brother. Let me take this opportunity to thank the profound members of the SALT Institute, especially the ambassador. Ambassador is one person who we all have to salute for the noble and giant work that he has started doing. And first of all, I also want to take the opportunity again to greet you. That is greeting from the Board of National Service and the management of the National Service and the whole National Service fraternity. We want to appreciate you for giving us the opportunity to be working together. And since I assumed this position, you will be recalled and you will be in our good books as being the one institute that has been able to reach to these numerous numbers of our national service persons to be able to give them soft skills. I thank you and I salute you all. Today is a very great day, and great in the sense that national service is 50 years. And having marked the 50th anniversary, that was the last year, then it means that now we need to actually change our steps. The National Service was formed in 1973, as you know. And if I have to start enumerating all the history, it will take all our time. But last week was a week that we actually initiated the process of our year-long celebration. And last week, what we did was to remember the lost ones, especially the National Service who have lost their life in the performance of their duty, and the staff who also lost their life in the performance of their duty. And because we have now marked the 50 years, there's the need to change the way we do things. So the first thing that the board and the management have done is to change the mission statement. And the mission statement for all these years have been mobilization for deployment. So now it has been changed to deployment for employment. And with this new direction, it means that there's the need and there's a burden on us to give the national service personnel soft skills training. And this is where you have come in to assist us. So today, the whole fraternity is happy about what we are all about to learn. And the journey started at the International Conference Center, where you give us the opportunity of bringing the national service personnel to participate in that very, very important learning program. And as if that is not enough, today you have also taken us to the classroom again, and you are going to take us through positioning ourselves for the job market after the national service. This is the core mandate of national service. The purpose for the establishment of national service was actually resting on 7 pillars. The first pillar was about how, as a country, we can work together and achieve what Dr. Kwame Nkrumah said, that one nation with a common destiny. The second one was to help in solving the unemployment problem in the country. And the third one was to equip the national service personnel with the skills that they will need to go into the world of work. And again, we were also to actually post to the areas where in the whole country, especially the hinterlands where the Ministry of Education and by extension GS is not able to post teachers to, so that at least we will be able to equip our brothers and our sisters so no one will be left out. So here, this year, for instance, we were able to post 64,000 national service personnel to the rural areas. They're not only posting to the rural areas, we also post to the urban centers and all. And especially we also post to support the universities. And you bear us out that the teaching assistants normally comes from the national service personnel. They're not only the education sector, we also post to support the agri sector. Our fathers, our mothers, who are doing well to feed the country. Now the world is becoming a globalized world. Now the world is introducing a lot of chemicals which our fathers and mothers cannot understand how to use it. So here, the national service personnel play a pivotal role by helping in educating our farmers as to the application of these chemicals. In the health sector, we will also post to support the health sector. Then now, national service, especially this year, we are posting a lot of the numbers to support the private sector because we know the private sector is the engine of growth. Then coming back to the new direction, which is deployment for employment, there is now the need for us to equip the national service personnel in the new direction, especially in the area where we all know that we are in the fourth industrial revolutionary world, where ICT has become key. So here we are also equipping them, and the knowledge is key. Without knowledge, there can't be any direction. So our marriage with you is not going to end here. I know we will be working together, signing MOUs together. Then we will be making it a rule that for any national service, especially those who are about to do their national service in the 2023-2024 batch, now it's going to be make a rule that certificate, they will have to undergo through such trainings about 6 times. And we know definitely you will be of help. And this time around is not going to be about 3,000, 4,000, but because it is going to be made compulsory, we will make sure that almost 170,000 that we are expecting to deploy will all be made to join. If you fail to join, you will do it before your certificate is going to be issued, because we are in the era whereby laziness has set in our youth. And just even for them to join without paying has become a problem. So if you need to apply a little force to ensure that they acquire the needed skill, that is going to make them employable. On behalf of the scheme, I want to thank you. But one thing that I want all my national service personnel that are joining to note is that you are not to show your face and to leave, but you are to join, because it is going to help you and it is going to help your future. If you prepare yourself well today, it is going to help you for life to become easier. But if you toil with your life today, life is going to become very expensive for you. The late Dr. Kwame Nkrumah once said that we should not be looking to the east nor to the west, but we have to look towards the future. By looking towards the future, it means that you have to prepare yourself towards the future. A well-prepared national service personnel will enter into this world of work, knowing very well that he has mastered whatever it is to be able to face the world. This is the reason why at the national service, now we are putting in place a lot, especially 7 pillars that is going to help you, the national service, to get job immediately you leave our corridor. The first area we've taken up is that of the farming, whereby we've gotten about 20,000 acres of land, whereas at now, your colleagues, that is some of the national service personnel are there. Those who are about to complete their national service are not going to be asked to leave the campus. They are not also going to be asked to leave the field. But what we will be doing to them is that we will be planting them into the farming industry, because now a lot of universities have started knocking at our doors. So what we are going to do is that we are going to give them land, whereby we will take the cost for preparation of the land, then we will give them all the inputs that they will need, so that at least they will be making the money for themselves. But once the time comes for the harvesting, and after the harvesting, we will take a percentage of our expenses that national service paid for. But whilst those universities that are knocking at our door to collaborate with us will still be giving them the needed coaching and the needed knowledge that they still need to acquire. In the area of those going to teaching, we have been able to sign on with MasterCard as well as that of the TTEL, because we know TTEL is funding the MasterCard. And then we are now going to ensure that they also go through the pedagogy training. As at now, they are at Volta region preparing themselves, and very soon, all the national service personnel that are going to be deployed into that sector, or first of all, will go for 2 weeks training before they will join the national service or the national service team. So in October, those to go into the teaching will first of all will be deployed to go into the area where they will be selected to go and learn. They will learn for 2 weeks, then come 1st November, then we will post them. But by the time they are done with the national service, arrangements are far in place that whilst teaching, they will still be doing short courses. They will still be doing distance program. So the distance program, at the end of it all, they will have to write an exams. Those who will pass are going to get a certificate, a professional certificate that can be used to go into anywhere in the country to teach, or outside the country to teach. So in the area of farming, we are there. In the area of teaching, we are there. ICT, we are setting up a whole lot of cohorts to be used as learning ones. As at now, we have 24 hubs. That 24 hubs are used as learning curve and the learning centers. So for now, we have 30 in each of the centers. We will be expanding it. We'll be expanding it so that a lot of them can join. In the area of greenhousing, we are also trying as much as possible to prepare some of you to take advantage. Aquaculture, we are preparing a lot of you to take advantage. So there's a whole lot of lines that has been lined up to prepare the national service personnel that are ready to become employable by themselves. That no, they will not look into the government to employ them, but they themselves will prepare themselves to become owners of their own business. This is where we are going. So today, if you are having this opportunity offered by the SALT Institute, that the SALT Institute is going to enrich us and prepare us for us to go into the future and to go into the job market well prepared, I want to stand on behalf of all the national service personnel and that of the board and the management to thank the SALT Institute. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Director of the NSS, Mr. Osei Sibe. Indeed, as our director did mention, we face neither east nor west. We face forward, as remarked by the first president of our beloved country, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. My friends, despite all the challenges that you may be facing as national service personnel, you must pick yourselves up and look forward, because there is hope for tomorrow. By your engagement in today's webinar alone, some things you would hear, some thoughts that will be shared with you can transform your life in the next few months from now. So as we go soon into introducing our lead facilitator for today's event, I want you, wherever you are, be sure that you have very stable internet. We understand some were having challenges joining on our YouTube link. We want to announce that all the links are working. On Facebook, you find us live. On YouTube, you find us. You just see that it's when you go to the channel, it's pinned, the message is pinned. You just click on it and that's it. You are good to go. And we can see also there are some who have joined directly through the webinar link. So we are happy to have all of you in your hundreds and thousands join us. Let me quickly introduce to you our very distinguished lead facilitator for today's event. But Dr. Daitumi is one of Africa's most respected authors, strategic thinkers, and he's a leadership strategist, a corporate trainer, a keynote speaker, and indeed a motivational speaker who speaks frequently on contemporary management, strategic leadership, creative entrepreneurship education, and customer service architecture development. I do recall in my early years in the university, some 20 plus years ago, we had people like him that the Lord used to motivate all of us to become where we are today. For Dr. Daitumi is a certified coach who specializes in grooming emerging young African entrepreneurial and corporate leaders. He is a strategist, a futurist, a passionate communicator, and you'll come to see that very soon, and an astute African-focused leadership summit organizer. He has hosted and spoken alongside world-class leaders and world-class speakers and leaders and shared platforms with heads of states, chief justices, and senior international public servants and United Nations officials. He is a true Pan-Africanist. If you speak with him, every day he's praying and crying about Africa and the events happening in our country. And at present, he is in charge of the strategic direction of Human Capital International Africa. And Human Capital International Africa is a people and SME-focused development business entity with a continental focus as the president and with a continental focus. And he serves as the president and chief copywriter for this organization. In fact, currently, Dr. Day to me is a chief strategist of the Religion and Enterprise TV and Continental Summits that plays an advocacy role on how faith-based institutions in Africa can become enablers of SMEs and active players of the African Continental Free Trade and African Union's Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. It would interest you to know, my friends, that Dr. Deytumi has written and authored various books. In fact, he's the author of 14 best-selling entrepreneurship-related and personal leadership development books, among which includes In Pursuit of Purpose, Strategic Positioning, Tales of Great Achievers, The Miracle of the Mind, and How to Increase Your Income as an Employee, not an employer. So it will interest you to read these materials as we delve quickly into this his session. In fact, he was born here in Ghana, and he's acquired very rich international experience and exposure, having presented keynote addresses and facilitated several corporate sessions in Nigeria, Uganda, Senegal, Liberia, Kenya, Tanzania, South Africa, Ivory Coast, several, and the list is ongoing. As we speak, he's currently living outside the country, and I know he's preparing for a trip to the African Union Secretariat in Ethiopia to engage some of the core leaders in how to bring change to our country. Ladies and gentlemen, from all the places where you are watching us, it is my singular privilege to welcome one of our finest leadership coaches you'll find on this continent, Dr. Emmanuel Deytumi. Doc, you're welcome, and over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, my friend Michael, and permit me also to use this moment and platform to express my deep-felt appreciation to Ambassador Dr. Alabo and the management and board of SALT Institute for this invitation to be a part of this incredible, I'll call it groundbreaking program that you are doing for. And I like what Dr. Alabo said, the leaders of today. This is a milestone project, and I'm glad to be part of it. Let me also use this platform to thank and to congratulate the Honorable Osai Sibe Aiki, the Executive Director of the National Service Secretariat, for his leadership, commitment, and vision. Vision, I must say, I'm very impressed to learn that the meant to employability. And from the 7 pillars that you have outlined, it seems to me that one key element which need to be added to the employability is job creation, because as you know, and yet Africa is blessed with so much resources, and what we look at people, which we know that they are the leaders of today, to be able to acquire the necessary skills, and especially the mindset that is required for them not only to be able to create jobs, but to grow those jobs to make them global brands, so that we can solve our employment problems. And so I'm glad that you are celebrating your 50th anniversary, and I want to congratulate you and also use this platform to also say a very big hi to my good friend who used to be the National Service Director, Honorable Peter Podobe. We haven't spoken for a long time, but I think that I'm sure in your celebration, you're going to have a retinue of almost all the past directors who have made this institution where it is, and that we find it today. And congratulations for the new direction that you are giving to the service. My assignment this morning, ladies and gentlemen, is very simple. And we are going to be looking at how do we help our young people, our national service graduates, to position themselves for the job market after national service, which is a very, very incredible topic that we are looking at, appropriate one for that matter. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have just joined me, I want you to start by leaving this poster on the screen, and I'll give you two minutes, maybe no, not 2 minutes, maybe 60 seconds. I want you to look at this. I want you to stare at it and just reflect on it. Just think about it. And as you think about it, one of the questions I want you to ask yourself, which is rhetorical, is how did these people end up the way they are looking? I want you to take your time and reflect on that. How did these people end up the way they are looking? And I'm sure for many of us, when we meet people of this nature, the first conclusion we draw is that these are people who never did anything better with their lives. Or these are people who decided not to take life seriously. Depending on whichever answer you give to yourself. I want you to understand that by the end of this presentation, you will decide for yourself whether to avoid a situation like this or you want to end up like this. And I'll tell you for a fact that the choice will be yours. So having looked at it, ladies and gentlemen, I want to share with you my objective for today. And it's very simple. My objective today, ladies and gentlemen, is to share with you a proven strategy that will help you to identify your competitive advantage in life. Not just in the job market, but in life. So that you can become exceptional in today's corporate world. And in fact, in today's competitive, extremely competitive corporate world. That is my objective. And why did I show you that particular photo? I chose to show that particular photo to you because I know that for many of us, we want to end up as professionals. Professionals either as lawyers, doctors, entrepreneurs, whatever. And the reason is that if we do not approach life from a particular dimension, if you do not approach life from a particular direction, ladies and gentlemen, chances are that by the time you look back 40 years from today, you are going to have a lot of regrets. And we need to applaud the two institutions, the National Service Secretariat and the SALT Institute, for bringing this to us. About 20, maybe 30 years ago, I wrote a book titled, What I Wish I Knew Before the Age of 20. When I wrote that book, at the time I wrote that book, I wrote it out of experience. But over the years, I've come to appreciate the importance of that book that I wrote. And I've sold many copies of that book in their thousands. What I Wish I Knew Before the Age of 20. And ladies and gentlemen, for today's journey, we are going to be looking at three main key things. Number one, I want us to have a quick review of the Vuca times we live in. In other words, today's corporate world, today's competitive world is characterized, ladies and gentlemen, by what we call the world of volatility, the world of uncertainty, the world of complexity, and the world of ambiguity. And if you are thinking that we are still living in the times when things were normal, with the advent of COVID, with the Ukraine war, with all the things that are happening today, China has become a global, what you call a global diplomatic or diplomacy player. Something that we didn't know about 25, 30 years ago. Today, Saudi Arabia and Iran have exchanged ambassadorial positions. This is something that we never thought would happen. 40 years ago, nobody thought that China would become a global player politically and economically. Today, we are witnessing all of that. So we are living in time, ladies and gentlemen, that if you think that we are still living in the normalcy, that's a joke. We shall also take our time to look at the competitive corporate world today. What is happening? And then we will zero into Ghana in the remarks of the moderator. He gave us some statistics of the current context, employable context in Ghana. We shall take a look at that, some bit of it. And then I'll end up by giving you the strategy and the skills that are required for you to be able to accelerate your growth in today's world. Listen, gentlemen, if you don't set your priorities well, chances are that you finish your national service, you get into the job market, you get into entrepreneurship, and if you are not careful, listen, gentlemen, you end up in regrets. And that is what I want us to avoid. So let's begin to zoom in. And the first question I want us to, what I want to draw attention to is this, ladies and gentlemen, in this world that we live in, there are three major ways of gaining wisdom. And for those of you who have followed my teachings over the years, you will come to appreciate the fact that there are some things in life we need to understand. Life consists of principles, processes, and procedures. And if you want to succeed either in the corporate world or even in life, you cannot do so when you ignore the 3 P's of life. And to do so, ladies and gentlemen, you are going to need wisdom. And let me say that there's a difference between wisdom, common sense, and knowledge. And so for the fact that you have finished university, ladies and gentlemen, the fact that you have finished tertiary education, or for that matter, the fact that you've gone to school does not make you educated. You can school without being educated. You can be an illiterate, educated person. And so it is important for us to understand that you need wisdom to know how to use knowledge and common sense. And how do you get wisdom? There are 3 ways to get wisdom. Number 1, you can get wisdom by reading autobiographies of people. In other words, if you become an ardent reader, somebody's 60 years in life, somebody's 40 years in life, somebody's 50 years in life. Today, you have the executive director of the of the National Service Institute. You have the director of the SALT Institute. These are accomplished individuals, as we heard from the introductions. And it will surprise you to know that sometimes we get close to such people and we don't even ask questions that will take us to the next level. So anytime you pick somebody's book that he has written about himself or herself, ladies and gentlemen, there's an opportunity for you to gain wisdom by reading that autobiography. The second means by which you can get wisdom is by observation and through mentorship. And as you are going to get into the corporate world, ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to wait to be told what to do. You can learn a lot of wisdom by observing people. And if you are fortunate enough to be mentored by other people, that is also another credible way of gaining wisdom. The third way of getting wisdom is through personal experience. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, this is the most expensive, the most costly, and the most painful way of getting wisdom. And I want to urge you, ladies and gentlemen, as you are beginning your life into the corporate world, do whatever you can to start the accumulation of your wisdom by utilizing the first 2 approaches. Because if you don't, you are going to have to pay a hefty price with your life in order to get wisdom. That is why I wrote that book, What I Wish I Knew Before the Age of 20. Now, I started life as a shoe-shine boy. I never saw my dad. When I was 1 year, 6 months, my father died. So I never saw my dad. I stayed with my mother. I am a typical Ejaba, as we say it in Ghana. I went to school with interior in my right pocket and amaniti in my left pocket. In other words, I went to school with roasted corn in my right pocket and the head of a fish in my left pocket. Now, but I made a conscious decision to observe and to read. So I became a product of other people's experiences in life. And today, I am opening up for you to understand that you can change the course of your life if you are able to utilize the first 2 approaches to gain wisdom in life. Ladies and gentlemen, this is very, very important. So let's begin by taking a look at today's corporate world. And this is very, very important, just to lay the foundation. Now, what do I mean by this, ladies and gentlemen? In 1976, there's a gentleman by the name Thomas Friedman. Thomas Friedman wrote a very interesting book. Now, the book is titled Trading Tyranny for freedom, trading tyranny for freedom, how open markets till the soil of democracy. Now, naturally, when you see the title of this book, you might think that it's a book for politicians or it's a political book. But I want you to understand that this is not a political book. It's not a book for politics. In 1986, whatever we are witnessing today, several years back, people have anticipated it. They had seen it. Now, and I would urge you, those of you who have become ardent readers, look for this piece, this writer, and appraise yourself with it. Now, but the summary of that book is that he came up with 4 major pillars, or 4 major, what we call indicators that are going to change the world. The first pillar we talked about is rapid technological advancement. This is in 1986. Then we also talk about the free enterprise system in the world. Then he talked about increasing knowledge and options among customers. Then, of course, the bigger one, we talked about globalization. Now, if you are in business, if you are in corporate world, if you are in politics, if you are in farming, whichever industry or sector of the economy you find yourself, you will come to appreciate that these 4 pillars are playing a critical role in the dynamics of global economy. Now, what does that mean? What it means is that as you enter into the job market, if you are going to live your life without of those 4 pillars, chances are that you are going to get yourself in a context that will not help you. Now, having said that, let's look at Ghana today. And because we are talking about national service people who are going to the global job market in Ghana. Now, ladies and gentlemen, today we have a surge in enrollment, which is in direct response to the number of tertiary institutions that are established in Ghana. And if you look at the statistics, ladies and gentlemen, according to UNESCO World Higher Education Conference, accredited higher education institutions in Ghana as of 2020 were numbering 265. Now, students enrollment increased from 547,045 in 2019, 2020 to 587,551 in 2020-2021, which is an increase of 8%. Ladies and gentlemen, so from the year 2019 to 2020, we had a jump of 474,956 to 512,157 in 2021, an increase of 8%. Now, what does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? If you juxtapose this to the global changes, you will come to appreciate that there is a fierce competition in the followership of jobs on the global market. Today, jobs are advertised globally. And in Ghana, I'm sure and I know that there are people working in Ghana who are not of Ghanaian descent. And yet they have gained employability in Ghana because companies are no longer looking for skills domestically. There's no law that forbids any corporation, any company from anywhere in the world that you must employ people of your country alone. Of course, the percentages may differ, but as long as you are good, as long as you are an expert in a particular field, ladies and gentlemen, you can gain employment anywhere in the world. And I know for sure there are people in Ghana today working in Ghana, but the corporations they are working for are not located in Ghana. So because of technology and globalization, a lot of things are happening. As a result of that, ladies and gentlemen, standards set by companies are of very, very high and competitive nature. What that means is that if you are finishing university and you are going to limit yourself to the information you are getting in the classroom solely and thinking that when you jump out of national service, you are going to get a job, my friend, you are going to have to think again. And I would highly recommend to the Director of National Service Secretariat and the SALT Institute, please, I'm begging you, beginning from today, let's have this program at the beginning of the national service so that people will have a global mindset so that throughout the program, the period of the national service, they'll begin to prepare themselves for the global market. Because within that period, I think it's now, I don't know whether it's still 9 months, within that 9 months period, if the paradigm is not shifted, and for them to embrace global culture, global values, and certain things that will help them to become admissible in the global competitive world, ladies and gentlemen, the journey would have started, but the key lessons that would have been required would have been acquired lately. We live in a time, ladies and gentlemen, that companies have set higher standards and they become competitive in their selection for employment and people. Why? Because today, companies are no longer driven by shareholders. Rather, they are driven by customers. We live in a time where customers have become so knowledgeable, customers have become so demanding, and customers have become aligned to speed. And so if you're going to enter into the global market, ladies and gentlemen, as we're going to look at right now, there is a need for you to understand what is happening in the global context so that you can prepare yourself. According to the World Bank report, 48% of Ghanaians are jobless, the youth especially. And every year, over 100,000 young people are entering into the job market in Ghana, over 100,000. The youth unemployment rate today is nearly unchanged as of 2022, stands at 7.14%, and some sources say it's even up to 9%. That means, ladies and gentlemen, if you are leaving national service today, there is a great opportunity for you, and at the same time, there's a danger for you. But I hope that by the time we're ending this particular session, you would have made a decision. So the big question that we must ask ourselves is this: how must the young graduates position themselves in these times? And again, in these Vuca times, in this volatile, in this uncertainty, in this complex and this ambiguous times. How must they position themselves? When I finished my first degree in University of Ghana, as SRC president of the University of Ghana, there were chances for us to be able to get employment. Today, when you're leaving university, ladies and gentlemen, chances are that you have to pray, you have to know somebody to be able to get jobs. But I'm going to show you that you don't need to know somebody before you can get a job if you prepare yourself adequately ahead of time. So I want to begin by sharing with you a few lessons, especially for those of you who are ready to enter into the global job market. Please understand this, that life is a journey. Life is not a straight course. Life is a journey that has twists and turns. Please get that at the back of your mind. Because when you know the opponent you are going to fight with, and you can understand him by knowing his challenge, his tactics, his strategies, and his weakness, you approach the fight differently. And I want you to have at the back of your mind, and I'm sure your parents might have told you, your bosses at the National Service Secretariat would have told you that the way life is not the way we see it in our bedrooms. Life is a journey, and if we're going to enter into this life, please be prepared that there are twists and turns in that life that we are talking about here. So let me begin to share with you, ladies and gentlemen, that the first thing I want you to understand is that life consists of transitions. Today, you are starting from between the time you entered university, you started what we call, you were preparing for life. And chances are that majority of you are within the age bracket of between 20 to 24, 25. If you are finishing university at the age of 25 today, it means that you are still within what we call the growth bracket. Now, when you cross this age after university, ladies and gentlemen, you are entering into what we call the adulthood life and the maturity life. Now, when you enter into this phase, that is when you start working. And that working life will take you from 26 to 59. So for most of you who are now preparing to end your national service, you should now understand that you are moving away from what we call childhood zone into the zone of adulthood and maturity, which is very, very key. Paul made a very profound statement in the Bible. He said, when I was a child, I thought like a child. I acted like a child. I did many things like a child. But now that I'm matured, I have let go of all the childish things. I'm quoting this scripture for you to understand that as you are beginning to enter into the working life zone, there are certain mindsets, there are certain behavioral patterns, there are certain ideologies, there are certain values, there are certain behaviors that you need to say bye-bye to them. You need to drop them if you must succeed in the corporate world, in the Vuca world, in the complex world that we are moving to. When you get into this period at the end of 59, you are going to enter what we call the old age, which is the retirement age. Now, let me say this, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm saying this because you are now about to enter into the adulthood. The quality of your retirement stage is going to be directly proportional to your adulthood stage. In other words, let me say this. Let me just highlight it for you to understand. Let me highlight it for you to understand. So I'm using my pen, okay, my pen here. Now, what you do here, come on, excuse me, 1 second. What you do here, okay, all right, let me use my ball pen. What you do here in this zone, ladies and gentlemen, is what is going to determine the quality of your retirement stage. In other words, if you joke at this stage of your life here, it will affect the quality of your life when you get to retirement stage. I have a walking stick in my office, and the essence of the walking stick is not because I have a waist problem, but the walking stick is to remind me, ladies and gentlemen, and I kept this walking stick for several years, that a time is going to come in my life that I'm going to enter into the old age, which is a retirement age. And today, I want you to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that you need to understand that you are moving into that stage, and to understand that as you move into that stage, please bear in mind that life is all about choices and consequences. I don't want you to ever forget this. Life is all about choices and consequences. Please understand this. 20 years from today, 15 years from today, we are going to look back. And when you look back, you come to appreciate that choice you are making today. In fact, where you are right now is as a result of the choices you made yesterday. You cannot make a choice for a particular direction and expect to have an outcome which is not in sync with the choices you are making today. Why? Because you must understand that there are two forms of pain in life, ladies and gentlemen. The pain of growth and the pain of regret. And when you reject the pain of growth, you have regret. The choices you are making today, ladies and gentlemen, will either help you to enjoy the pain of growth today, so you can have a successful life tomorrow, or during the period of your working life, you can reject the pain of growth. And when you reject the pain of growth at this stage of your life, you have inadvertently embraced the pain of regret, and it will face you. You will face it whether you like it or not. Soren Kierkegaard, who is a Danish theologian and a philosopher, made a very profound statement. He said, life can only be understood by looking back. But it must be lived forward. In New York, I'd gone to New York for a program, and I was walking past a particular building, and I saw this signpost on the building. And it said, life can only be understood looking backward, but it must be lived forward. It must be lived looking forward. Now, I didn't understand this statement until, upon reflection, I tried to understand this statement, and I said that any of you who have ever spoken to a blind person, if you are talking to a blind person, and if what you're saying, the blind person really understands it, listen, gentlemen, the blind person will open his mouth and say, oh, I see. And I'm sure the question you are asking is, what does a blind person see? Now, let me say this. Blind or virtually impaired people or challenged people do not see with their sight, but they can see with their mind. In life, ladies and gentlemen, as we grow, and as you are moving from the childhood stage, or what I call the preparatory stage, into the working stage, a time is going to come, you look back on your shoulders, and you would appreciate that there were things that happened to you when you were young, and that you didn't like them. They were not palatable. They were not situations that you embraced it or you liked them. But because of the lessons you picked up from those things, they have become meaningful to you today. That is what it means. Life can only be understood by looking backward. So I urge, ladies and gentlemen, to understand that life is made up of choices and consequences. And if you want to make it in life, you need to understand how to position yourself. So let me come back to the subject matter for today. I've given you the introduction, and then let me come back to the subject matter today. And I'm saying to us all that I appreciate the fact that National Service Secretariat is now, through the vision of the executive director and his team, have seen the need for us to move away from mere deployment into employment. And as I've said, let's add job creation into it. Because the world in which you are going now, in this Vuca world, every young person is faced with 4 options. The first one is either to look for a job, or to become an entrepreneur, or you can combine the two. And the fourth option is to remain and to choose and to opt and to select to become a product of the environment. Let me explain what I mean by becoming a product of the environment. Today, there are people above the age of 20 comfortably living in the comfort of the homes of their parents. And because they have not got a job, all they are saying to themselves is that it is the problem of the government to give them jobs. And if the government cannot give them jobs, then they are going to stay at home. As long as their parents can give them food, they can give them a place to sleep, they're going to enjoy life until they get a job. Listen to me, if that's your mindset, you have an entitlement mentality and you remain the product of the environment. And let me tell you, politicians will determine the future of your life. But if you don't want politicians to tell you how to become or what to become in life, so that you don't become a subject of political ideology, you have the option to either to create a job, or to look for a job, or to create your own employment, or to have both. These are the 4 options that you have. And I urge you, ladies and gentlemen, through the vision of the Executive Director of National Service Secretariat and the Rector of the SALT Institute, take advantage of the opportunities created for you to combine job creation and job acquisition so that you don't become a product of the environment. Now, how do you do that? I want to give you some key steps. Number 1, beginning from today, ladies and gentlemen, learn to position yourself strategically. I have paused and I did that intentionally. Learn to position yourself strategically. What do I mean by being strategic? Anybody who knows how to play chess, they will tell you that in the game of chess, if you are playing chess, you don't only focus on your game. You must be interested in how your other opponent is playing. So you need to learn how to position yourself strategically so that you will know the dynamics of the environment and how to take advantage of that. Now, listen to me. Positioning for corporate wealth, positioning is a perception for businesses. Positioning is a perception that the customer has of a company. Now, whether that positioning or perception is true or false, it is that perception that the customer has of the company that determines the readiness of the customer to either do business with the company or not. In other words, the customer's perception of a particular company is its reality. Now, in the same way, ladies and gentlemen, for you as somebody looking for a job, you have the option to position yourself in a certain way in the mind of all employers so that will determine your employability in the global job market. In other words, to gain employment in your preferred place of work, you should be perceived in a positive light. Why? Because that is what is going to make you an employee of choice. In other words, from today, the way you are going to position yourself, the way you are going to organize yourself in terms of your dressing, in terms of your time management, in terms of your demeanor, in terms of your readiness to solve problems, is how companies are going to look at you and whether they're going to give you a job or not. In other words, if they're going to ask you to join their corporate system, it's all about the way they see you. So strategic positioning is all about the way people see you. So to get the job of your dream and to climb on the corporate, ladies and gentlemen, you need a vision and a clear-cut goals with a strategy. And if you can have a vision for yourself and a strategy backed by day-to-day goals, man-to-man goals, and what have you, ladies and gentlemen, you are going to become an employee of choice. Now, if you understand that, then you need to understand that vision, as we say, ladies and gentlemen, is what you see in your mind. It is the mental picture. Remember I said, if you don't want to become a product of the environment, you either have to go and look for a job or to create a job by starting your own business or to combine the two. And to do so, ladies and gentlemen, you need a vision. And if you have a mental picture of what you want to do to accomplish what you desire, which is your future, so that you can have what you want in life. For those who want to look for a job, the job that you're looking for. But for those who want to start your business, the business that you're looking for, that is what we call a vision. It's a mental picture. So as a young person, as you are entering the work life, into the corporate world, into the next phase of your life, as you are transiting from preparatory stage, childhood stage, into growth stage or adult stage and manhood or adulthood, you need a vision of a desirable future that can help you to achieve that. Now, that is what I mean. So you need your vision. This is what you need. Your vision must inspire the way you organize yourself every day in life. And that must lead into the goals you set for yourself on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, on a yearly basis. And when you do that, then that will tell you, or that will determine the way you are inspired. So it becomes a cyclical kind of process. And if you're looking for anybody, if you look for anybody who have become successful in life, in any field, this is how they live their lives. Today, if you talk to many people in Africa, out of almost 10 people, you probably have only 2 people who, when you ask them, how do you want to become, or what do you want to become the next 10 years? You probably will get just about 4 people who know what they want to become. And I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, you need a vision to be able to know where you want to be. Majority of African young people will tell you, God will do it. Let me tell you, God, ladies and gentlemen, God will not do anything. It is you who must determine how and where you want to be in order to get to the place that you want to be. So you need that. Now, Richard Koch defines strategy as this. He says strategy is the pattern of decisions that intentionally or otherwise sets the long-term direction of your life and in the case of a company or a nation, and determines your fate. In other words, your fate is not determined only by prayer. It's not determined by your academic performance. It's not determined by your certificate. Your fate is largely determined, ladies and gentlemen, by the strategy that you use to support your vision. And if you are going to get the job of your life, you're going to get the life that you desire, ladies and gentlemen, have a vision, and number 2, have a strategy. Robert Heinlein made a very profound statement, an American aeronautical engineer. He said, in the absence of clearly defined goals, we become strangely loyal to performing daily trivials until ultimately we become enslaved by them. I want to leave this on the screen for a while, and I want you to ponder over it. In the absence of clearly defined goals, we become strangely loyal to performing daily trivials until ultimately we become enslaved by them or by it. Now, remember I said there are 4 options. You can either look for a job, you can either start your business, or you can combine the two, or finally, you can become a product of the environment. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, the people that do not look for a job, the people that don't live their lives intentionally would ultimately be enslaved by the ideals of the society and the non-essentials in life. So the choice is yours. Now, about 15 years ago, when I started going from secondary school to secondary school, telling them to prepare for today's world, I came up with something, 4 books. And today, for the purpose of this seminar, I selected this very, very important book for you. The first one is titled Strategic Positioning, an exceptional handbook. I mean, a handbook for the exceptional graduate in the job market. And then the miracle of demand by taking control of what to prescribe for. And I'll tell you more about this book, a package for you, is to develop for a job. Develop a personal competitive strategy. What do I mean by this, ladies and gentlemen? Now, Michael Porter said a competitive strategy is about being deliberately choosing, it's about deliberately choosing a different set of activities to deliver a unique mix of value. Now, what that means is that you have to be exceptional in your thinking and competencies to make a difference in this world of indifference. Ladies and gentlemen, leaders of today, Africa is waiting on you. Ghana is waiting on you. There are some unique potential that you have. But for that unique potential to become realistic and valuable to the world of Ghana and Africa, you are going to have to begin to look at things differently and think differently and sharpen your competencies so that you can make a difference in this world of indifference. That is what competitive advantage is talking about here. So exceptional graduates with competitive advantage, my friends, do things differently and they have a different kind of mindset. So therefore, to think with an entitlement mentality in our world today will not earn you placement in any competitive business environment in this particular century. And that is something that we must avoid. So I want to help you to identify your competitive advantage. What do you know that others do not know? What can you do that others can't do? What unique value can you create for your employer? What different set of competencies you have that your colleagues do not have? Remember, you studied the same course. You went to the same school. There are people who didn't come to your school, but they went to another school, but they studied the same course. Sometimes they had access to better information that you have. But what sets you apart? In other words, what is your unique selling proposition? And if you can identify these things, then you're on your way to becoming competitive advantage. So Gibril said, our parents bring us into this world, but in the end, we are responsible for who we are. Ladies and gentlemen, please bear in mind that as you enter into the global job market today, if you are going to become somebody who will be competitively positioned from the age of 18, from the preparatory stage, now that you are doing your national service, the rest of your life is in your own hands, not in the hands of your parents, not in the hands of your teachers, not in the hands of whatever. So the first thing I want you to understand is what we call the power of first impressions as we are going to enter into the corporate world. First impressions are extremely important because it determines the perception you create in the minds of your employer. So as you get into the corporate world, ladies and gentlemen, dress like a professional, because that's an important issue in the entire service industry, particularly when you are seeking for employment. The way you dress, the way you walk is so important. If you want things to become better for you, you have to get better first. Because when you get better, ladies and gentlemen, your career too will get better. It is the greatest determinant of your success in the corporate world. So let's look at those of you who want to get into the job market. And I want to start off by saying job markets start with what we call looking for opportunities. And so what are the methodologies that you can use to look for a job? Now, so the first question you must ask yourself is, when and how do I start looking for a job? Now, for those of you who read my book, Strategic Positioning, I started telling students in the 15 years ago in almost all the secondary schools, in almost all the universities, if you wait to finish university before you start looking for a job, chances are that you're already late. Ladies and gentlemen, there are many ways to look for a job. One of it is traditional ways, where you write applications, you look for the daily newspaper, and then you start looking for a job. No. In this competitive world, I want to recommend to you, you have to be creative to look for a job. Now, most of you have friends and what have you, use your power of networking. You are in class with so many people, some parents, some of your colleagues have parents who are influential. Some of them are in companies that you already know are doing well. Before you get into looking for a job, maybe from today, make a list of all the industries and perhaps all the organizations that you wish that you can work in. And that's what I'm saying. I wish that you had this information when you were in school. So that by the time you are coming out, you would have made a list of all these people, and then you can begin to, find ways and means of even volunteering into these organizations, and then you can know the things that you want to do. Okay, so it's important that you begin to make a list of all the companies that you want to work with, and that will help you to be able to apply for those jobs. So before you apply for the job, what must you do? First, let's say you see an advert in the papers, or you have identified a company that you want to go and apply for a job and all of that. If there's a position, ask yourself, find out what are the core responsibilities of that position. What are they looking for? What is the outcomes? What would help that position? What are the expected outcomes that the person who will come and fill this position are supposed to produce? What are the peak performance skills or the key skills that are required for that particular position? And then what is the work environment in that particular organization? You need to understand all these things before you apply for a job, because I don't want you to behave as somebody who says anything goes. If you go around positioning yourself as anything goes person, you are not positioning yourself strategically. So you must begin by looking for these important issues before you start applying for the job. Then you must understand that how you prepare yourself for what I call selling yourself on paper. And here I'm talking about CV. Ladies and gentlemen, the most important elements of your CV, curriculum vitae, should give the relevant history of your education, your training, your skills, and work life, particularly as they apply best to the intended destination of your CV. Now, what do I mean? Your curriculum vitae, your CV, is the way you sell yourself on paper. It outlines the pattern of your past, your present, and your future. And anybody who wants to really become a strategic player in the corporate world today, ladies and gentlemen, you must know how to put your CV together. And that's very, very important. Now, the importance of CV is that your CV gives the first impression about you. The moment they pick up your CV, they don't know you yet. But the way you have articulated yourself on paper, the way you have sold yourself on the paper, the way you've taken time to write your paper would give them a first impression about you. It is your personal marketing brochure. Your CV tells about your differentiating factor. In other words, if there's anything about you that you want your prospective employer to know, it is your CV that will first lay it bare in the office, even before they decide whether, based on what you have written, you are the kind of person they want to have as an employee. Now, so when you have done that, you need to look at the things that might go on your CV. And here we are talking about your work experience, your education, other special training that you have. Most of you, I don't know whether when you were in university, you were attending seminars, you took some positions, whatever leadership roles you played, this is the time for you to educate, to make them aware that you have these exceptional skills. If you belong to any membership association, please put it there. Then, what other critical area that must be on your CV is your reference. the people that can vouch for your credibility, the people that can endorse you to your prospective your prospective employer. Those are the people that you must put their names there. And I'll talk a little bit about this later on. Some people go to people, they just call them, oh, I want to put your name on my CV without even waiting for their response. The CV is already there. Let me tell you, serious companies today, they pick up the phone or they even write letters. Yesterday, I got an email from a university in America of one protege of mine who has applied to do a PhD, and the university has written to me to write a recommendation on his behalf before they can get him on board the program to do his PhD. This is what we are talking. It applies in the job market as well. So that is why your credibility, your name, and the way you package yourself as a student is very, very important. Then finally, the way you package your CV, the layout is key, and I'll talk a bit about that. In writing your CV, you can use chronological by laying emphasis on the way, as I've explained it, or you can look functional, where you look at the job requirement, and then lay emphasis on the core competencies that you have or the skills that you've developed over the years, and then project those ones in that CV, or you can use both. And I'm sure at the appropriate time when there's opportunity, we can do some practical work later on, and then we can go into detail as to how people can put their CVs together. I've been in employment for several years, and I can tell you, many people don't know how to put their CVs together. And maybe we can have a one-day session, and we can do some practical session on that. Now, as part of the CV, packaging the CV, you must know how to do the heading of the CV. When you're writing the letter, cover letter, and stuff like that, because once you're taking your CV somewhere, the CV must go with a heading, a letter. Now, there's a normal way to go about it, which is what everybody does. Application for employment, application for the position. This is what everybody does. If you want to become a creative job seeker, I urge you to use the creative way. And this is how I recommend it. Instead of saying application for employment or I'm applying for this position, why don't you say, dear sir, opportunity to add value to your company, or request to increase your profitability or market share clientele, or opportunity to contribute to the growth and expansion of your company. And you can be creative in many ways when you are writing your cover letter. Please don't just follow the wagon. Don't do what everybody else is doing. Demonstrate your competitive advantage for your CV. And then please don't where how you got to know about the vacancy that has been advertised in your cover letter. Sometimes you have solicited CVs where people they will advertise these things in the newspaper, online, and whatever. You see a building coming up, and they say this building belongs to company X or company Y. And when you inquire, the foreman will tell you, oh, they're going to put up this building to maybe open another branch of this particular company. Therefore, you can send in your CV, and those CVs are unsolicited. And that's why you can go. But in that CV, even though it's not solicited, please be creative in the way you package it. And then customize your CV and cover letters to different companies. Don't pick one CV and throw them around. Every company, every job description has unique features, and you must follow them. Avoid CVs that are like dissertations. Don't go and put a CV that will take maybe 2 hours to read, or like autobiographies. Make it simple, snappy, and straightforward to the point that we are talking about. So now let's talk about interviews. How do I prepare myself for interview? And I want you to understand something, ladies and gentlemen. The focus of every interview is to determine your smartness, your work attitude, your ambitiousness, and how nice you are. People do not just organize interview for just organizing sake. Your CV, first of all, will give a first impression about you in the organization. And once that is done, if you are shortlisted, it means your first impression on paper, your paper has sold you well. And therefore, you'll be shortlisted to come for an interview. The purpose of that interview is to determine, indeed, what is on paper is what they are seeing in you as a person. And at the interview, ladies and gentlemen, be prepared to know that you'll be asked to talk about yourself. Now, I've highlighted this in a different color because most of the time when people are asked to talk about themselves, They start talking about their names. They start talking about where they come from. They start talking about their hobbies. They start talking about the food they like. They start talking about their ethnicity. Those things are nonsensical. In today's competitive corporate world, whenever they ask you to talk about your service, gentlemen, talk about your competitive advantage. Talk about the value you are bringing to the table. Talk about the skills you have. Talk about your past experience. Talk about how different you are from all other competitors that are coming to apply for the job. Talk about yourself. It's not about the name you have. They know that on your CV. They know that from wherever you are coming from. Talk about the value that you are bringing to the company as far as the employment seeking is concerned. And of course, your CV should talk about your company. I mean, before you go for the interview, ladies and gentlemen, take time to study about the company history. I've employed so many people in my lifetime, and sometimes people come for interview and you ask them, what do you know about a company? They have no clue. Don't be somebody, don't fall into that category. Ladies and gentlemen, before you go for an interview, prepare. Know about the history of the company, know about the position you're looking for, they want you to come, know about the reward system, not just in that company, but in the industry. Know about that, because they will ask you along the line, how much you want to be paid. So know about the reward system, that goes to that particular position that you are looking for, and then look at the corporate dressing in that company, and then make documents ready. Don't go for an interview when they ask you, what is this certificate? You don't have it. And sometimes people go for interview and the way they've organized their documents, they've mixed them up. No, organize yourself. Organize your documents before you go for that particular interview. Now, interviews can take many forms. It can take either a group, which is called panel interviews. It can take one-on-one. It can be on the phone. Sometimes before they shortlist you, they'll get you on the phone. And you think that somebody is just talking to you. No, they are interviewing on the phone. And sometimes you can have a multiple interview. If you are going to be in a very serious organization, sometimes you can attend about 3 or 4 different types of interview. In my own organization, when I'm interviewing people, because we are a team-based organization, I've never interviewed anybody in a senior management position once. Most of my interviews from middle level going, I do it not less than 4 times. I interview you. If you are married, I interview your spouse. If you have children, I interview your children. That's what I do. And I bring them to my office, and sometimes I'll put a glass of water on the table, and I'm observing the way you handle your children, whether you allow them to pour the water on the ground, because you see, the way you organize yourself in the interview tells a lot about you. If you are married, you have children, for example, if you are coming to manage our accounts department, you are married, you have kids, and I ask you, do you have investment for your children? You have no investment. It tells me about how responsible you are. So interviews can take many, many forms. The last portion of my interview, I take you for dinner. And at the dinner table, I'm observing the way you are going to handle the waiters. Now, if you are going for a managerial position, a serious company wants to know how you treat people who are below you. Because we are no longer looking for managers, we are looking for leaders. A manager would manage people as things. A leader will see people as human beings and therefore treats them as such. And so at the dinner table, they are watching the way you talk to the waiters. They are watching the way you organize yourself. So different companies have different interview styles. And therefore, you've got to be prepared before you go for the interview. So let me give you a few tips as I bring my presentation to a close. So, number 1, when you are going for interview, ladies and gentlemen, dress like the company's employee. Dress for the position. If you are going for an interview and let's say the corporate colors of the company is blue and the competitor of that company is red, make sure you don't wear a red color. In other words, you are going for an interview and you are dressed like the competitor. They won't take you. So dress in the company's, dress like an employee of the company. And then please arrive early. Arrive early. And when you arrive there, ladies and gentlemen, you are going for an interview. The first point of call, we call them the gatekeepers, is the receptionist. Woe betides you if you go and become rude to the receptionist. You've lost it. You may do well in the interview, but when you go and the interview, the receptionist open his mouth and tell them this is how you behave at the reception, you are done. So be nice to the receptionist, and then wait to be asked to sit. Please and please and please don't go into an interview room and yes, there's a chair without being asked to sit. Then you grab the chair and sit down because you are the boss. you're already disqualifying yourself. Wait to be asked to sit before you sit. And please, when you sit as a professional. The ladies, please cross your legs. And if you have a bag, put the bag on your side. If you're a lefty and your left hand is very readily quick, put the bag on your left because that's where your papers are. If you're a right-handed person, put on your right hand and then cross, put your legs together and maybe just make sure you close your legs. Don't cross your leg at the interview in the interview room. And please make eye contact and avoid being jittery at the interview room, ladies and gentlemen. Now, again, if they have to shake hands firmly. Don't appear to be timid at the interview room. Address the interviewer by name. Usually, interviewers would mention their name. My name is Emmanuel. My name is Michael. My name is so and so. They will mention their name. Be bold, be confident, and address them by name. So let's say Emmanuel asks you a question. Then you can say, of course, if Emmanuel's first name, so let's say Mr. Daytumi, or Dr. Daytumi said, Dr. Daytumi, following this so and so, mention their name. It shows that you are confident. Don't go into an interview room as a scary, or as somebody who is afraid. Speak to your selling proposition without being arrogant and without being overconfident. And please don't put yourself in an interviewing of the as an interviewer interviewing the interviewer. You are not there to show that you are the boss. You are there to be interviewed. But it doesn't also mean that you cannot ask questions. You can ask questions, particularly if you have done your homework well. You can see some gaps that separate them from their competitors. This is a good time for you to ask questions, and the questions should be asked creatively to highlight the value you are bringing to the table. And then thank them when you are done with the interview. So we thank the interviewer when you are done. So let me end by talking about the don'ts in the interview process. Don't talk too fast and don't talk too slow. Don't mention salary until asked. This is very key. A lot of people are disqualified at this point. And then when they ask them, how much do you want to be paid? He said, anything goes. It shows that you are desperate. You can use this question as a very good point to sell yourself. Oh, having done my research in the industry, having done this and that, looking at the value I'm bringing to the table, I believe that anything between A and Z is commensurate, and I would appreciate that. So use that question as a stepping stone to market yourself, highlighting your selling proposition. But don't say anything goes. It shows that you are desperate, and companies are no longer looking for people who are desperate. Remember, there are thousands and thousands of people who don't have jobs. So you must know how to sell yourself. Don't discuss politics, religion, or sex in that room. Avoid slouching in the chair. When you are asked a question and you don't know it, don't slouch in the chair as if you are relaxing. The interview room is not a place to relax. It's a place to sell yourself. Avoid nervous habits and mannerism. Sometimes some of you begin to touch your fingers. If there's a pen in front of you, begin to touch the pen. If there's a cup on the table, begin to play. Avoid the usage of expressions like, you see, I see, etc. Avoid all those things. And don't play with items on the desk, as I've mentioned. Be as formal as possible. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, having talked about those who want to look for a job, let me now, in conclusion, talk about those who are looking, who have the tenacity to go for employment, to create their own job. And I call it the entrepreneurship option. And I want to say this. If there's anything that the youth of Ghana must look for, this is the time for us to make sure that majority of our young people are taking entrepreneurship as the option. The agri sector, and I'm happy that the executive director have initiated a lot of programs that will help you to get into the chain value of the agri sector. There's so much happening in the agri sector. Technology, there's another way. Okay? And oil and gas, so much is happening now. Africa is supposed to be the food basket of the world in the next 50 years. And Ghana is one of the countries, just like Uganda, where I am right now, that are going to produce food for the rest of the world. Please, entrepreneurship must be the option. But to do so, ladies and gentlemen, you must understand why you are going there. Now, I put this thing here. I saw this on one of our WhatsApp pages, and I want you to think about it. The question is, Somebody who is on salary is asking, an employee asking the salary he receives. Look at your mates. They are all grown up. In other words, the fuel price is going up, food stuff is going up, the price of food is going up, rent is going up. Why come my salary is not increased? Of course, your salary will not increase because increment in salary is not determined by the increase in fuel. It's not determined by increase in prices of food. It's not also determined by increase in rent. It is only determined by the value you bring to the marketplace. So what do I mean by here? If you don't want your salary to remain to plateau, take the employment option and become more valuable to the marketplace. It's of complaint about circumstances. Otherwise, if you are going to go into entrepreneurship, creative idea, and the partnership between the NSS and the SALT Institute goes by, we'll come to look at entrepreneurship proper. But for now, I just want you to know that you don't start a business because you want to make money. No. No customer is obliged to give you money. A customer is only obliged to give you money when your idea becomes a solution and an opportunity to that customer. So that idea or that solution is what we call the opportunity. So every business opportunity is a solution, is an idea that you have identified that will bring value to the marketplace, that will solve the problem to the customer, and for which the customer is prepared to pay for it. So you must ask yourself, the business idea that I have, does it have a good market scope? Now, please stop copying people. In Africa, what we do is that when I see that Michael has opened a shop, that he has a corner shop or a shop at the corner, as soon as I get small money and I see that people are going to that shop, then I go and open a shop selling the same thing that the person is selling. Please stop doing that. You waste your money. And as we know, those of you who know me, I've been in several businesses. I've lost some and I've made some good. So please understand that every business idea, you must find out whether it has a market scope. Are there people to buy it? If you're going to start a business and all your marketing is your family members, the scope of your market is your family members or the small neighborhood where you stay, you don't have a business. The idea is not a solution. So ask yourself, does this idea have a marketing scope? And the idea also must have a good proposition to attract, to bring about return on investment. Does it have the potential to bring a good return on the investment? If you invest 100K or 100,000 Ghana today in that business, and for several years, the money now becomes 80, 60, 40, it's going to collapse. So before you put your money into that business, you must ask yourself, does this business have the potential to give me an attractive return on my investment? And if you do that, then you are properly positioned to go into that business. And then again, one of the questions you must ask yourself, how stiff is the entry, competing, and the exit cost of the solution that I'm bringing to the table? If you invest all your money into a particular business, only for you to realize that in the environment where you are, a rich man can enter into that business and knock you off overnight, then you are going to lose your capital. So before you go into that entrepreneurship, please understand that the idea you are putting out there to build your business around, the entry point and the exit point and the competition in that industry is such that you can compete. Otherwise, think twice. And finally, you must ask yourself, do I have a great passion for that opportunity? As you can see, all my life, I've been a public speaker. All my life. I'm going to be 60 next March, and that's what I've done all my life because I have a great passion for that. I want to die empty, speaking to people. I tell my wife, I will die when I'm speaking. I'll drop down on the stage when I'm speaking. That's how I want to die. And I know God will kill me when I'm speaking. I will die. God will call me when I'm speaking on the stage. So do you have a passion for it? If you don't have a passion for this, gentlemen, you'll be chasing money. And I can tell you for a fact, people chase money, never find money. Money only gravitates to people who have a solution and are passionate for that solution. So before you start a business, ladies and gentlemen, you must think about that. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how long I've spoken, but I think I'm still within the time. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to look at this. As you go out into the next phase of your life, which we call the growth, the working life, the adulthood, and the maturity stage. Please be mindful that as you are planning, and I've talked about vision and strategy, remember that we call the 7 pillars of life. If you are going to plan for your life, don't zero in on just going to look for a job. Why are you looking for a job? And in 7 pillars, ladies and gentlemen, we have the family. You plan for your family, you plan for your career, you plan for health, you plan for your finances, you plan for your retirement, you plan for your social capital, networking, and finally, you plan for your spiritual life. Ladies and gentlemen, this is very, very important. So as you are going to plan for your professional career, you're going to plan for the next phase of your life, bear these 7 aspects of your life. Don't let your life become like a vehicle when you have a flat tire. There's only 3 legs. The car cannot go far. Plan for these 7 pillars of your life. And to do so, ladies and gentlemen, you can only do so by ensuring that you handle your body, your physical body, as a secured safe. I'm talking about the safe that we put money in. Listen, gentlemen, your life takes this format. You have a body, which is the safe. Then you have the soul, which is your mind, your emotions, what we call your self-consciousness, the psychological component of your life. And then you have your spiritual consciousness, which we call the God consciousness. Your spirit. The soul and the spirit are like money. They are kept in the safe. Now, remember I said, the 7th pillar of your life, compartment of your life, is the spiritual dimension. For many of us, we spend time looking for the best safe without thinking about the money we want to keep in that safe. We spend time polishing our nails. We spend time looking sharp. And like I've told people many times, in this particular competitive world, ladies and gentlemen, it is of no use to present yourself as a Mercedes-Benz with a motor bicycle engine in the head and with a spirit that has no clue as to how the world is going. So what do I mean, ladies and gentlemen? If you're going to prepare for your life, be mindful about your appearance, which is the body. You must also be mindful about your spiritual life, and you must also be mindful about your mental life. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, have a visual library. Invest in your mind, invest in your spirit, but also invest in your appearance. But don't let your appearance overshadow your soul and your spirit. Have a sensual library. Things that you can read, things that you can listen to, and then audio library. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to end up, and I'm leaving this thing on the screen for you for 5 minutes. And I want you to just gaze at it. This is my conclusion. This is my last slide. Look at it carefully. Now, when you look at this thing, anybody who has traveled extensively or outside of Ghana will tell you, that is what we call a converter. A converter is a kind of plug that converts voltages from 220 to 110. If you go to America, they have the voltage of 110 for all appliances. You come to UK, West Africa, if you go to a place like, I think, Senegal or something like that, it varies. Even in Ethiopia, it varies. But the beauty about this converter is this, ladies and gentlemen. When you plug this converter into the electricity plug, the main plug, and you plug in your laptop, let's say you move from Ghana to, say, Ethiopia, which has a 110 voltage, and you have this converter. When you plug this converter into the mains, and it converts the plug from 110 into the 220 that your machine is designed for. That is what the converter does. Where am I taking this to, ladies and gentlemen? I've mentioned that today we are living in the Vuca world: complexity, volatility, uncertainty, and ambiguity. And as you have heard, there are so many of your colleagues who have finished university for several years now, they don't have jobs. We are told that out of every 100,000 or so that finished university, only about 30% get a job. 70% or maybe 10%. Majority of them do not have a job. So the question I'm asking you today is this: as you are moving from this seminar room, this webinar room, to now go and face the volatility, the uncertainty, the complexity, and the ambiguity world, the highly competitive world that we find ourselves in. The question I'm asking you is, who is going to be in charge of the next phase of your life? Think about it. Who? Is it the government? Is it your parents? Or is it yourself? It's a rhetorical question. Don't you answer it. But please bear in mind that there's a converter. There's a converter, there's a particular source, ladies and gentlemen, that it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter whether you were born in the village, whether you were born by a prostitute, whether your parents died when you were young, whether you didn't see your father, whatever. Like I told you, there was a time in my life, ladies and gentlemen, I could not even buy a pant, what we call supporter. My mother never went to school before, never sat on a classroom chair. Today, my mother has grandchildren, some of whom have master's degrees. So the question, ladies and gentlemen, who is going to be in charge of the next phase of your life? So the question is, the remaining days of your life on this planet Earth, why not plug your life? Why not plug your life into why not plug the next phase of your life into the universal source, the universal converter, that no matter where you are, when you plug it into the main source, no matter what happens, your appliance will still work. And I'm sure somebody is asking, what is the main source? What is the universal source? Listen, gentlemen, and I know this is not a religious classroom, but I want to understand, listen, gentlemen, I've come this far because of a man called Jesus. I am who I am today, having access to the corridors of power all around the world because of the favor and the glory of God upon my life. And before I finish this seminar or this webinar, ladies and gentlemen, I want to take you back to this converter. The converter here, ladies and gentlemen, is the converter called Jesus. When you connect your life to this converter called Jesus Christ, that man Jesus will ensure that anywhere you are, you can perform. Doors will be open for you. Favor will come upon your life. And it doesn't matter where you start. The Holy Spirit that he has left with us right now on this planet Earth, the Bible says it will lead you. In Romans, he said, as many as are led by the Spirit, they are the sons of God. And I'll tell you, gentlemen, if you can connect your life to this universal source, is it job you're looking for? Is it ideas to start a business? That universal source. That universal source. That universal source is going to ensure that your life, listen, gentlemen, I want you to understand this, that if you really want to become better in life, that is what you must do. So as I close, listen, gentlemen, as I close, I want you to know this. Connect your life to the universal source, and your life will never be the same. I mentioned earlier on these two books, The Strategic Positioning and The Miracle of the Mind. Unfortunately, The Miracle of the Mind at the moment is out of stock. But this book, a handbook for the exceptional graduate in the global job market, I want to make a donation, not a donation. I want to give copies to the National Service Secretariat at a discount. Now, this book at the moment is selling for 100,000 per copy. The last time I checked, when I just called home, they have almost about 2,000 copies available now. He's executive director and director of the SALT Institute. Any student or any service person that wants a copy of this book, they can pay their money maybe at the SALT Institute, and I'm sure the administrator of the SALT Institute can coordinate this. I am giving this book to any national service person who wants a copy of this book. My contribution to you as you enter into the next phase of this world is that I am donating 50,000 Ghana cedis into your life. So you can pick a copy of this book at 50,000 Ghana cedis. Once you pay your money and your name to the administrator or the National Service Secretariat or however you want to coordinate it, I am willing to bring this book to you for you to get your copy. So between now and end of next week or so, as many of you that want a copy of this book, I am donating a copy to you only at the price of 50 Ghana, and I am sowing a seed of 50 Ghana into your life. But let me go back to this, ladies and gentlemen. If you are on this platform and you are ready to say, I am dedicating the next phase of my life to Jesus, I want you to just say this prayer with me. You don't need to raise your hand, but you can say it in your head. And I know there are some Muslims on this platform. Please just bear with me, and I know that you are not offended. You can say, Lord Jesus, today I invite you into my life. I accept you as my Lord and Savior. Forgive me of all my sins. And from today onwards, come and indwell in my life and take me as your son. If that is a prayer that you have prayed, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know that from today onwards, your life has been plugged into this converter, Jesus Christ. And he, and only him, is going to lead you into the next phase of your life. And your life, you will never, ever be the same. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And I hand over to the moderator, Mr. Michael Amma, for you to take on and we come to the question and answer the question. Thank you very much.
Wow, 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 wow. What a mouthful. Wow, this is amazing. We want to thank you, Dr. Detu. Yes, you really need to clean that sweat on your face because I mean, you've poured out your heart to the present and future leaders of our country. And I know you were busy with your slide presentation, but if you go through the charts on YouTube or Facebook, the commendation about how this presentation has been such a great impact to our service personnel is way beyond imagination. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for such thought-provoking engagement. So viewers, listeners, everywhere you are connected on Facebook, on Zoom, on YouTube, whichever channel you are connected, we're going to take some questions and engage distinguished lead facilitator in his very scintillating thoughts that he shared with us. You can post your comments in the chat room, and we can see that quite some comments have come in on Facebook, on YouTube, and also on the Zoom webinar link. And we're going to compile these and engage it. But I'm sure you would agree with me. We will give our lead facilitator just some 5-10 minutes break for him to take a glass of water and process, put himself in shape to address some of the questions that you would have. So while we do that, there is some good news that I must share with all of you. The SALT Institute, which has held this program in collaboration with the National Service Secretariat, has some very good news of some scholarship offer limited to those of you who have attended today's webinar. And I think by extension, it will be extended to other service personnel as well. One of the directors of the SALT Institute will be doing a short presentation on the scholarship opportunity and to tell you about how you can take advantage in advancing your career at the SALT Institute. And as he does this over the next 10 minutes, you can still be sharing your questions and comments in the chat room, and then we'll come back and then we'll engage our speaker in addressing them. Let me indicate that with the way this event has gone, I think it will be worthwhile in your own interest if we extend our closing time beyond the initial time of 30 minutes after 11. We might go some 15 more minutes because we have quite a lot of questions which have come in. And I think if we give time for our lead facilitator to address them, it will be in the interest of all of you who are preparing for the job market. So we may extend a little beyond that time. So at this juncture, let me welcome the Director of Business Strategy at the SALT Institute, and he's also a very senior lecturer indeed at the Institute, a man of he wears many caps, works in industry, works in academia, and he's going to present some good news to all of you as we prepare ourselves to go through the question and answer. So it's my privilege to welcome Dr. Mauli Kofi from the SALT Institute to do a short presentation on the Institute. Thank you. Dr. Kofi, if you can hear me, please, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Michael, and dear friend, Dr. Emmanuel Detumi, for such a very powerful presentation. My internet is a bit unstable, but I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you, but if you could please speak a little louder, I think it should help. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Is it better now?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Is it better now?
Yes.
All right. So just, I think most of the things I want to say, you have in one way or the other mentioned them in passing. So I will be quick in just reinforcing some of them. The key one being that SALT Institute is a mission driven to actually support leadership development on the continent. So what is important for our participants to note is that unlike all the other institutions that we find around, this is a mission-driven, it's a faith-based, Christian-based institution that is fulfilling a very critical mandate of transforming our continent through a deliberate and intentional approach of building leaders today for tomorrow. As the rector said, we view you as leaders today. When we say you are leaders of tomorrow, then we push you to the background until we have destroyed everything, and then we ask you to come and fix it. But in our context, we want you to start fixing the society now and not tomorrow. So it's a mission-driven and very highly focused on today and tomorrow. Many of you have tried to find out what SALT means. SALT is not as the salt for cooking. It means Sandalos Advanced Leadership Training. Sandalos is a Greek word which means servants of the same Lord. So it's about servanthood. So if you wish, servanthood advanced leadership training. It is also in the literature that servant leaders make some of the fine and profound leaders. So we are focused mainly on raising leaders for the continent of Africa and in the global market. As I said, we are focused on how the human capital of this continent can be developed to deliver very strong leadership for the continent. So our mission is focused on that. Our mission is directed as using scripture-based knowledge and practices and time-tested experiences to build world-class leaders for tomorrow, which is also part of our vision. Now, there are core values and ethos that drive this institute. The reason why I'm bringing up this before I talk to you about the financial assistance and support that you have to study at SALT is because you need to have a background to why we are doing what we are doing and why it is a very important place for you to grow yourself. Our core values and ethos are enshrined in the word spirit, because remember I said that it's a Christian-based university. So our core values are scripturally driven. We are passionate, innovative, responsive, individual growth, and teamwork. So for each of this, we have significant drivers that are embedded in these values and ethos. The status of the institute is straightforward. We are accredited by the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC for short. That means that we have received the authorization to run the programs we run, and we are also certified to provide the kind of training that we train, the kind of training that we provide, and the people that provide the training have all been certified. But by regulation, we are not a standalone university yet. We aspire to do that in the near future, but we are affiliated to the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, GIMPA, and the University of Cape Coast. We also have a very strong partnership with one of the leading Christian business schools in the world. Joseph Business School in Chicago. You can Google and check it, and you see how Dr. Ben Winston, one of the leaders of the church in the world, has established this business university that is accredited to be a leading cutting-edge university. You can see more about that. So we are accredited, we are affiliated, and we have a very strong partnership to a Christian university in the world. The programs you may have already been told, but as you can see, our programs are all postgraduate level. Graduate level is leadership and management, international relations and diplomacy, and then entrepreneurship and management. My good friend, Dr. Adetumi, mentioned about entrepreneurship and challenge you to use that route for your life rather than going in the queue for a job. That's something that you may want to consider. But to be an entrepreneur in our modern world, it's also important that you train your mind, you train your mindset, you train your conduct, your skills to do that. So that's the essence of entrepreneurship and management. And then we have a PhD in international relations and diplomacy, a PhD in leadership and management. There are also non-academic programs, quite a series of them, but I have just picked this for the purposes of sharing with you how we are designed to have a holistic approach to developing individuals to play important leadership roles in our society. We have specialized short courses that are from a day to a week or a couple of months. We have guest seminars and lectures. We have public lectures and symposiums. And then we have leadership development boot camps where we focus on you becoming a leader. This does not give you degree certificate, but just gives you certificates of participation. And in some cases, depending on the duration, you might get a diploma. Now, that is not the only thing we do. As I said, we look at the academic, we look at the non-academic, and we look at other ways of building the individual. And mentoring and coaching is central to that strategy. We look at the character development. We believe that a very effective functional leader must have the character, which is the heart and the mind, that is aligned to addressing the challenges of today in a very, very pragmatic manner. So we support the character development of the individual. We also make sure that individuals receive support as they grow in their journey, either in their career, in their business, or in their chosen field, which we deem as a ministry. Every chosen field is a ministry. You see that Dr. Adetumi, even though he's a public speaker, speaks also very profoundly as an evangelist and as a carrier of the gospel. We don't think that you have to be in clerical to be in ministry. Your job is a ministry. If you see it that way, then you understand what we are talking about here. Life through career mentoring and coaching, relationship mentoring, life and performance improvement. Every individual must seek to improve his or herself throughout his life. Every day, you have to seek for ways to improve yourself in everything that you do. So we support all of that. So the admissions for 2023 is open. As you can see in my poster on your screen, you can check more about this through the Institute. And if you are interested in enrolling in any of the programs, you will be assisted. But the question is, how do I support my enrollment in SALT? How do I fund it? SALT Institute has two options. You either study online or in person. Each of them come with commitments on our side to make sure that the rigor and the scope and depth of the program is not lowered. It remains the same. You can speak to those who have been online and those who are in person and see whether there's any difference. We have designed them in such a way that they complement each other and also reinforce the rigor that we want to share. So if you are interested, please consider enrolling in this new registration or enrollment period. So how do you support yourself financially? Even though we are a Christian university, we need to have a sustainable way of running the university. And so whilst we do not seek very huge profits and gains, both for individuals and for the institute, we need to be in a position to cover the cost of running it. And so we try to make sure that there are opportunities for individuals who cannot pay even the minimum fee that we require can get support. And those who can pay the minimum fee, we have the option of staggering it and splitting it into small bites so that it does not take a toll on your cash flow. So all these are available. The important thing is for you to come and let us know how you want to support, or how you want to be supported, how you want to support, and how you want to be supported in your journey at SALT. But for the national service personnel, because of the special relationship we have with the National Service Secretariat, we are co-vision bearers. They want people that are in the marketplace, effective in jobs, and also able to accomplish their leadership missions. So we are in a partnership, and for the sake of that partnership, all national service personnel that come at the back of the national service will get a 10% discount on tuition fees. We are also working hard to make sure that a foundation is in place for those who really, really need it to access. That foundation is being formed. It's not functional yet, but it will soon be in place and you can access it. Beyond that, there are also opportunities for you to approach individuals and people that you think you can talk to or SALT can talk to on your behalf to support your journey. So these are the contacts for SALT Institute. For those of you who don't know, the physical contact is at New Achimota. And then we have a website. Our email is on your screen. But for those of you who are a generation way behind me, you probably will do better with our social media handles: Facebook, Instagram, X, used to be Twitter, and YouTube. You can follow us on all these handles and direct your questions and also seek more clarification on some of the things that we do. Our goal is to make sure that as a country and a continent, the leaders that we are building today can take the continent to the next level tomorrow. So we are on a mission. If you believe in this mission and you think you want to be part of it, and you think that you have what it takes for the transformation of the continent, do not hesitate to speak to the registrar, the administration, and whatever help you need, we will try to see how you can be helped. Once again, thank you for your attention, and we look forward to seeing some of you soon. Thank you, and over.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Maoli Kofi, for such piece of good news to all service personnel. So there you have it. Due to some of the negotiations with the service secretariat, all those of you who are qualified to enroll in a postgraduate degree program, that is master's or PhD, in this very excruciating financial times, you have some scholarship opportunity awaiting you at the SALT Institute. So please take advantage of this. If you go to the chat rooms, you'll find that there's a link there posted where if you follow that, you see all the courses so that you can be able to apply for that. Let me add that the beauty of SALT Institute's programs is that wherever in the country you are located, you can still conveniently take the programs. There are several learning options. You can take the program online. You can take it in a hybrid format. You can also take it in person. Those who take it online, you may be required at the campus, or let's say just about 10 to 20% of the time of the engagement. So you have a lot of the online engagement, but don't think it's an easy way out, because your lecturers come from the USA, from Kenya, Uganda, South Africa, and across the globe, even some here in Ghana. It's a very robust online system, but it's easy for you as you go into the world of work to combine that with work. And as Dr. Kofi mentioned, the scholarship opportunity, you will find out if you do the search that the fees charged even at Salt Institute are among some of the cheapest you will find among private universities in the country. It's amazing. And there are even flexible terms. You can pay monthly, you can pay in installments, you can pay just a certain percentage as you are admitted into the program. So hit the link and then you'll find more details. The number that appears, the Facebook link, all the social media links are still on the screen, as you can see. And then also there's a WhatsApp number which will be posted in the chat as well that you can contact or place a phone call and you'll be guided accordingly. We'll move straight to engage our lead presenter in some questions which have come in the chat. So, Dr. Daitumi, we would go on quickly to address all the questions, and we have quite a long range of questions which have come in, and we are going to take as many as time would permit before we bring this event to a close. Let me mention to our participants that we'll also be sharing with you a link in the chat room with which you can evaluate today's webinar. We want to improve and be sure that the next event we'll hold will be able to address all the issues that you consider are worthwhile for such a job fair or a webinar of this nature. Doc, so let me take those ones that relate to CV writing, quite a number of them. Some of the questions are asking, what is the average number of pages for a CV that should be appropriate in your opinion? And also, another question related to CV is that, how can I capture my national service role or experience on my CV? Do I capture it as work or as volunteerism? And does that also count towards my work experience? That's a very important question that I find. So if maybe you can take those questions on CV writing very briefly, because the questions are pouring in, then we can go to some of the questions on interview. Yeah, thank you, Doc.
Yeah, no, thank you, Michael. No, CV, as I mentioned, yes, CV doesn't have to look like it. But you should also make sure that you don't leave out some. There's no specification as to the CV must get unnecessary things. As I mentioned, writing, but it's key for you to know that your CV must highlight those key areas. Now, I would strongly urge that, so some of you who want to learn more about it, try and get that book, the strategic positioning, which is the subtitle is A Handbook for the Exceptional Graduate in the Global Job Market. Please get that book. It would answer a lot of the questions that you have mentioned. Now, the NSSF thing, NSSF, everybody knows in Ghana is NSSF. So there's nothing wrong in putting, in any case, if you didn't do NSSF, it will show a gap. So put there, I did my national service, let's say at this place between this period and that period. And then within that period, within that national service process, some of the key areas that you did, okay, maybe wherever you did your national service, they put you in charge of a particular team to execute a particular assignment. That becomes an experience that you've acquired. It could be a leadership experience. It could also be a skill that you have acquired in that process. State it there as part of the experience and the competence that you have developed. And you come to realize that as you go and sit in front of people, I've had that experience many times. People ask, and they want to know, apart from doing that particular job, what additional skill did you learn from your national service? And those are times that you can highlight those things as well. Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you, Doc. Just a follow-up to that. Some quick questions on CV that came in. Someone asking, is it professional to put references on my CV, or just to state that the references are available upon request? And then also, someone is asking, Mary Boy is asking, please, how do I write a CV with no working experience? Yeah, Doc, over to you.
Okay, so for the first one, in terms of references, it depends on where the CV is going. But I highly recommend that before you put anybody's name on your CV, clear with the person. Don't go and put Michael's name on your CV when he has no idea. Then he'll be there, then you get a phone call from company X. You know, so and so and so. You say, no, I don't know the person. And besides that, it's not courteous for you to put somebody's name on your CV without letting the person know. Okay, so depends on where the CV is going, but ideally, always clear it with the people you are going to use as reference, whether you are putting the CV or not. That is very, very important. So again, I'm emphasizing it depends on where the CV is going. Some CVs would, some companies will say, look, if we need reference, we'll let you know. Others will say, put it there, please put it there. Because if you don't, you will not be shortlisted. And then the second question was, what did you say, NSS? What's the second question, Michael, please?
Yes. So what if you don't have any work experience at all?
If you don't have any, no, I mean, work experience is not necessarily about having worked in a corporate establishment. Whatever you are doing your national service is work experience. So put it there. You went there to you as a teacher. Yes, you taught for that period. It's work experience. Put it there. It depends on how you catch it, how you write it. Okay, and that's why writing skills must be very. Don't ever say that you don't have work experience. You have. Okay, it could be that they ask you to go and to maybe sell something. That's the marketing skill. You may not have a marketing profession, but you demonstrated skills in marketing. So you have experience there, but just state exactly what you did. And then when you're in the interview, that's what that you executed. Yeah. Over to you, Michael.
Thank you. Now, let's move to some of the questions that came in on interviews. And one very key question that came was, can you negotiate your salary during an interview? And another one related to that says that, is it appropriate to tell the employer the amount you want to be paid when you are asked? This question came in on Facebook, that is it appropriate to tell the employer the amount you want to be paid when you are asked about that? And how would you do that and not appear to be too demanding on the employer? A very key question, though.
Okay, so it's all about your skill because you are selling yourself. Okay, so again, as an entry person, you are now going into the corporate world. You don't have so much experience and all of that. But I would urge you, read more about skills and negotiation, read more about selling yourself and all of that. But what you should avoid is to take an entrenched position. And if you want to negotiate, that's why I said in my presentation, please know the industry very well. So for example, you are applying for, let's say, a job of, let's say, accounts in a particular establishment. At your level, you are not the first entry employee in Ghana. There will be so many of your colleagues who have worked in other companies at the same level. Ask them, what is the rate? What is the going rate? And then that will, instead of pointing attention to the money, point the focus on the value you are bringing to the table. So always link your asking in terms of monetary to the value you are bringing to the table. Then again, it goes to your communication skills. How well are you able to put on the table the value you are bringing, the skills you are bringing, and therefore why they must pay you that commensurate price that you are asking for. But don't take an entrenched position and know how to negotiate that without sounding arrogant, without sounding overconfident, and knowing that this is the value that I'm bringing to the table. And if you're good in that, you get it. You get it. In fact, I have personally come across people who were not even shortlisted. They just happened to have bumped into one of the employee interviewers, and then through the conversation, they told the guy, bring your CV. Because of the way the guy presented himself, the way he articulated his value that is likely to bring into the company. And then he went through successfully. So it depends on how you sell yourself. Yeah?
Yeah. It depends on how you sell yourself. So remember what Dr. Daitumi said. When you go for an interview, it's just an opportunity for you to actualize what actually you put on your CV. So you want to tell them what you find in the CV, there's a face behind that. So it's an opportunity for you to sell yourself. Doc, there are questions coming in about your books, how people could get that. And as you mentioned, we'll be able to make copies available maybe to the NSS National Secretariat. And then from thenceforth, I'm sure they can get that to the districts and other places. But use our communication channels to communicate with us directly on the Salt Institute links if you have any interest, and we'll find ways of getting them to you. So maybe two more questions on interviews. How do you answer this question in an interview? What is your greatest educational achievement? If you are asked in an interview, what is your greatest educational achievement? And then one other question on interview, maybe to make your day, Doc. He said, what do you do when you go for an interview and you cannot answer the questions being asked?
No, let me answer the last one. If you are asked a question and you don't have the answer, please say I don't know the answer. Being frank is a sign of integrity. And please, let's understand this. You don't know it all. I mean, even professors, there are some questions they cannot answer because you don't know everything in this world. So there's nothing wrong in owning up and saying, look, at this question, if you don't mind, I'll go and do a bit more research on that and then come and next time I'll find an appropriate answer for it. But for now, I don't have a clue this question that you're asking. Again, it depends on how you say it and how you articulate your answer, your view about that. What has been your greatest educational achievement? Now, this question is not about the degree you have got. It's not about the certificate you have got. In other words, what did you learn through your educational process? And number two, so far what you've acquired, what have you used it for? And again, somebody will say, well, I haven't got a job. Yes, but even at home, maybe you have siblings who perhaps, were doing one or two things, but based on what you learned in the classroom, you're able to put things in order in their life. That's an achievement. And you were able to do that based on the education that you've acquired. Maybe you did a first degree or you did something at senior secondary school. And then when you went to university, you were doing, let's say, computer science. But then you realize that as the world is changing, I should be able to learn how to cook. So you're doing computer science, all right. But based on the information you've acquired now, you've used that to also learn additional skills in terms of cooking. That's an achievement. Yeah. And you only got to know that because you open yourself up to another form of education. Yeah. So please remember, education is not necessarily what you acquire in the classroom. It's about life. And so anything that you can use your current knowledge to help you to acquire additional knowledge is an achievement. Yeah. Or additional experience and achievement. That's right. And that is how, so always bear in mind, how do I use my answer to project the value I'm bringing to the table? Right. And it's about creativity. That's right. That's right. It's all about creativity. And let me add to that, to all our service personnel. Usually when you're on a job or even during your service, there are projects you are put on. You're asked to write some minutes and back on a project. Be writing these things, compiling them so you don't forget them, and updating your CV as and when the time comes in. Let me remind all of you that we've posted in the links in the chat rooms a link to evaluate this webinar so that we can improve upon it the next time. I've seen a question on YouTube which I will want to address just quickly. That is Salt Institute only for Christians, since it's a Christian institute. Not at all, not at all. So it's open to people of all other faiths. We have people of different faiths here. I think, as was mentioned, it was just, there are some very strong values of discipline, values of integrity, which the Salt Institute goes by. And these are the things which I think the emphasis was on in the earlier presentation. Let me move to two quick questions on interviews, Doc. Then we'll move to starting a business, because some questions are coming up about starting a business. And one, I like this question. He says, how do you answer the question? This is from Abel Agbanu. He said, how do you answer the question? What value are you bringing to our company? This is a very good question. And then Deborah Abena-Otin is asking, please, how do you deal with tension or fear in the interview room? How do you deal with tension or fear in the interview room? And maybe to combine the last one on interview, I said, how do you go about this? From Hilda Timkran, he says, what is the best way to go about the question? Tell us about yourself in an interview. So Doc, three things. What value are you bringing to our company? How do you deal with tension or fear? And tell us about yourself in an interview. Thank you. Okay. Now, I think I answered all these questions in the presentation, but let me re-echo them. Please, the moment you put in your CV and you know that you are going to be shortlisted, or you are shortlisted
Oh, sorry, Doc. Doc, I think your line went off briefly. Okay, I think you are back on. Please proceed.
Even if you are dying, on the dying bed, proper research about the company should not only focus on the company. Your research should focus on both the company and the industry, particularly their competitors, because that's where you are going to be able to identify the gaps that they don't know, but which they are not, what their competitors are doing that they are not doing. So once you identify those gaps and they ask you, what value are you bringing to this company? That is the time for you to link your skills, your competencies to the gaps there, that if you are bringing value, the moment you are able to help that company to close that gap is a value you have brought to them. Okay, so for example, let's say that you are looking for a job in a particular company, and in that company, perhaps they don't know how to, let's say when people come to work, there is no way of, knowing who came in at what time and what have you. And then you realize that another company, there was a fire outbreak, and they could not account for whether this person was there or that person was there. You go to the interview and tell them, well, in my research, I realized that in this company, when people come to work, maybe there's no showing the time that they come to work. So my fear is that if there's any disaster or if there's any accident, accounting for the people that are present may be difficult. So one of the things I'll recommend when I come is that I would work with my colleagues to introduce a system where we can account for people who come to work at the time that they come. Now, when you do that, you realize that you are helping the HR department to solve a particular problem. That is a value that you are bringing to the market, you are bringing to the company. So know the gaps in the company in comparison to their competitors in the industry and link that up to your skills. The second question is fear, tension, and all of that. Listen, when you are going for an interview, be yourself. Just be yourself. If you like, before you enter the room, take a deep breath and tell yourself, what is the worst thing that can happen to me? They will not take me for the job. If they don't take you for the job, it doesn't end your life. Go and try your life another time, somewhere else. But please don't be under tension. If you are under tension, you are not yourself. Your brain cannot coordinate well with your mouth, and therefore you realize that you go and give wrong answers. Your body language will show that you're not confident. And remember what I told you, the purpose of interview is to see how creative you are, how smart you are, how nice you are. It's all about the first impression you are creating on the minds of the interviewer. So you have to be yourself and don't be under tension. Be yourself. If you like, take a sip, drink water, but take a deep breath and psychologically tell yourself what is the worst that can happen. They can't say because you didn't get a job, drink poison and die. No, after all, you have a place to live. So please prepare adequately and tell yourself, I'm going to win this interview and I'm going to get it. And go in there and get it. You will get it. After all, those who get the interview done, those who get a job, they are human beings. They are just like you. So just go and just be the best you can and you'll get it. But don't entertain fear. The people, they are human beings just like you. Okay. And usually in interview rooms, they try to relax you. Okay, they will crack a bit of one or two jokes just to settle you down before you start. Maintain that tempo and always tell yourself, I'm here for a job and I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
Sack yourself that. Yeah. All right.
Doc, thank you. Thank you. I see a number of people asking this one question in different ways, and that has to deal with the number of years of experience, So let me read Brian Mezon, which a lot of people have actually in the same way, that please, can you go ahead and apply for a job if you do not meet the number of years of experience required for that particular question? And one person couched in another way that most of the vacancies, job vacancies require 2 or more years experience. What do you do, especially as an NSS personnel that you have just passed out?
Let me tell you, look, unless the position is technical, maybe they are looking for an IT person in a very specialized area, or it's maybe accounting in a very specialized area. But if it's anything to do with soft skills, my friend, let me tell you, if you have been to university for 3 years or 4 years, and you have been able to pass your exam, you were part of maybe Scripture Union, you were part of the University Fellowship, you were part of your hall, something, you played a role in any area. Be creative in knowing how to couch it on your CV. Listen, when you go for the interview, okay, and they ask you the question, it's all about how you sell yourself. So don't let that scare you. In this day and age, everybody knows that there are a huge number of people who don't have this number of years of experience that you're talking about. You are not lying, be straightforward. Don't lie on the paper. If you lie on the paper, it will come and haunt you one day. But don't lie, but know how you are able to catch your experience, even in school. You were maybe a hall president, you were maybe even a class captain, you know, in university, how do you call it? Is it class captain or whatever? Find a way to put it there. You were organizing, you were leading. That's an experience. So just know how to catch it. But like I said, unless it's a highly, highly technical something, otherwise don't disqualify yourself from that. Do it, put it very well, and let your cover letter speak for itself so that they can't throw it away. By the time they read and know the number of years, they read how you've couched yours, you see that you qualify. And for the interview, not for the job, for the interview. Your purpose is, how do I get attention to attend the interview? That's the most important thing. When they meet you face to face, you tell them, if you don't interview me, this company, you are not going far.
That's right, Doc. In fact, what you have said, when I go for interviews, and they, you know, usually most interviewees will say, okay, so before you leave, do you have any question for us? I would always ask them, when can I start work?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you always have to tailor yourself and prepare yourself very well when you go. Doc, I'm sure before we move to questions on starting a business, this one should interest you. Equia Bottle says, the doctor is very handsome. So thank you for keeping your very handsome posture for all these years. Anyway, Doc turns 60 next year, so he's a young old man. You know.
The grace of God. And I'll tell you, the young guys, please drink a lot of water. Don't sip a lot of water. I drink about 4 to 6 every day of this, and I do a lot of walking. Spend your time on vegetables, and there please don't keep problems. Don't keep problems in your head. It will surprise you that about 4 years ago I had a mild stroke, but I told myself I will not allow stroke to kill me down. I am strong. I travel. I speak. I jump. I walk every day. I walk, and the grace of God is upon my life. So please, keep yourself in good shape. Don't eat too much meat. It won't help you.
I'm sure we'll organize another webinar on healthy eating habits for service personnel, because once that lawa drops, the suya joint is in trouble. Everybody is looking towards that venue. Anyway, let's take some questions.
One of the things you should do for them is financial management. I think is, one of your seminars you do that. How to help young people to understand the financial principles of life is very, very, very important.
Yes.
This is the time they need those things.
Yes, we'll look at it. So please, the links to evaluate this webinar has been shared in the chat. Also to apply to programs at the Salt Institute, the Master's PhD programs has been shared in the chat. Facebook, YouTube, webinar, that's Zoom. You can please connect to them. And then also some WhatsApp number and email addresses will be shared, so that even after this event, if you need to reach out to us in following up on any matter, we'll be glad to have you. We'll be closing in a few minutes, but let's take some few questions relating to starting a business, because we want to prepare you at the NSS and then also at Salt Institute, not just to go look for a job, but also to be able to create one. And 2 quick questions, Doc, on creating a business is, somebody says, I want to establish my business, but I don't know where to start from. What should I do? What are the basic registration regulatory things to do? And then number 2, which a lot of people have been asking and in different formats, is how do I raise funds to start my own business as a very young person and a service personnel? So what are the steps to take if I want to start my own? And the quite important one, how do I raise funds to start my own business? Doc?
I would say this, before you even think about going to register your business, please, please, please do your own background research to find out that whether the idea you have is indeed a solution or just an imagination of your own emotions. I've seen many people, listen, entrepreneurship, even though we talk about it and we want every young person to go into entrepreneurship is not for everybody. This is what I'll tell you. I would recommend that at least try and get a place, even if you do apprentice, even if they don't pay you. Your goal is I'm going to learn the rudiments of the trade. But once you have an idea, please do research to find out whether the idea is a solution before. If it has a market scope, in other words, are there many people with the same problem that are looking for the solution that you have? Once you are able to convince yourself, and there are many ways you can do that. You can use Facebook, you can use social media, anything to ascertain Okay, and if you have adequate, people that have the same problem, then go ahead and then register the business. But don't go and register a business when you have spent money on that without knowing that the business is an idea that has a solution. And if you have a solution and you've done your research and there are people who have that problem and therefore the solution can help them, then go ahead and register and then start small. That's my answer. Start small. In my own life, I've made many, many mistakes. And that's why I wrote the book, Unraveling the Secrets to Wealth Creation. Why the rich get richer and the poor poorer. For those of you who've been asking, how do you get a book? I've said that between now and the end of this month, if you want the hard copy, I've already given you a discount of 50,000. You can pay 50,000 to, I'm sure, I don't know how you do it. You can coordinate. I don't want to give you, if I give you mobile money number amount, I want you to pay your money, write your name, and then we'll supply the books and then you guys can pick it up. Otherwise, I'm going to put a link. If you want a soft copy, you can, I'm going to put a link on the chat that you can go online and buy the soft copy from there. I like reading hard copy books because I underline, I highlight, and all of those things. But otherwise, on the soft copy, you can get it. But if you want the hard copy, pay your money, and then when I get the feedback from Michael through the NSS, then will supply the books to you, and then you can have your copy. So that's what I would say about the business. Please don't start a business researching to know that the business has a solution. It's a solution and has a. Otherwise, I would urge you, please look for a job, get away. Okay, very, very important.
Okay, very important. Thank you so much, Doc. Doc, I see a lot of people asking that, look, they want to keep the memory of this event. They're asking for the materials. Let me mention to all of you who have participated in this event, the recording will be on the SALT Institute and the NSS YouTube link, and then also on the Facebook link. So you will find the recordings there. We'll engage the speaker. Those of you who registered and participated, we may share it with you via email as well, so that you can reflect on some of these stuff. But like I said, if you go to the YouTube link without having the presentation itself, you find the whole thing there. Immediately the event ends, you'll find the link to the recording there. Doc, before we go to take some closing remarks from our Executive Director of the NSS, let me give you a few minutes to share your concluding remarks as our lead facilitator to today's very exciting event.
No, thank you, Michael. And my concluding remarks are just two. Number one, to thank the SALT Institute and the NSSF for this great opportunity, and also to congratulate you guys for thinking outside the box. Why do I say that? For many years now, NSSF is 50 years now, we have only looked at things from a very, very, I should say, in a very narrow perspective. And thank God for the life of the current Executive Director, Mr. Honorable Osesibe, who incidentally has the same surname as my brother-in-law. So I like that. And I'm not surprised that people who are born with Osesibe, they have very creative minds. And so God bless you, Director, for thinking outside the box and thinking about the future for young people. We have to show them the way, and you have set a good example. And SALT, you are visionary. And I want to urge as many young people, please give me 1 second. Look, if we're a young person and you are thinking of having a global impact, listen, even if it means you have to go and look for a loan, look for the loan and invest in the program that SALT Institute is doing. Especially I will urge you to do the international relations because of the nature of my work. Please, the world is changing, and the next batch of Ghanaian politicians, Ghanaian young leaders, please expand your scope in international politics. For you to do that, you must understand how politics is played at the global level. Africa needs leaders who are global minds, who have a global mindset and global perspective. And I am so happy that the SALT Institute has brought this program to African leaders. And like you said, you saw many young people from all over Africa are participating. Myself, this year I'm enrolling, and I'm enrolling 2 of my staff. We are all coming to do international relations and diplomacy. Listen, If you want to have a global impact, take advantage of this. Ghana is going somewhere, and you must be part of the key players of that journey. And you can't do that when you go for international forum and they're asking questions, you are thinking about background. No, that thing must be passed. Think about globe, the globe, that is where the key players are. And so please enroll in this program and you'll be shocked how transformative you become as a leader, and not only for Ghana, but for the continent. So I applaud the SALT Institute and I applaud the NSSF for what you have done. My final concluding remark will be for the young people. Please, the world has changed. If there's any caution I'll give you, it's only one. Stop comparing yourself with others. You were created unique. The blueprint that God used to create you, there's nobody in this world who has it. So whether you're is driving a car, whether your colleague is living in a whatever Nokia phone, the old Nokia phone, it doesn't matter. Live your life according to your own standard. They used to say, cut your coat according to your size. That's a wrong notion. Don't cut your coat according to your size. Cut your coat according to who you are. If you are big and the size of your cloth is small, and you want to cut your size according to the size of your cloth, you're going to have to borrow. No, don't compare yourself with anybody. Today you may be working. It doesn't mean that manufacturing companies that manufacture cars, they have closed down. Your time will come, you buy your car. So be where you are and have a focus. Your time will come, and stop comparing yourself with other people. You have so much potential. And in the next 5 years, I'll meet you not in the middle, not at the bottom, but at the top. Somewhere on the global village.
Wow.
That's my conclusion.
Wow. Thank you so much, Doc. Don't compare yourself to other people. Focus, and you see yourself at the top. So when you collect your alawa, don't be thinking of going to buy an iPhone with that money simply because somebody else has one. Invest into your future. I saw a question. Someone posted that, please, if you have been posted after NSS, but you're willing to upgrade yourself through the SALT Institute, what do you have to do to upgrade yourself? As I did mention, we have different ways by which you can take the program. If you're in Accra, you can take it at our campus here in Achimota. If you're outside Accra, as we do have some students up in the north, even some students outside the country, we allow for virtual and also a hybrid participation. So you can take the program virtually online, but you'll be required to come to the campus during exam periods, which can be scheduled within particular periods to make over the weekends to make it comfortable for you. So the options are very much available for you to be able to enroll here. I will turn the microphone at this moment to our Executive Director before I will welcome the National NASPA Secretary, Nanedu Jemfi, to give some vote of thanks. I'll turn the microphone to our Executive Director, Mr. Osesibe Entry, to give us a few closing remarks before we go to our vote of thanks. Director, over to you, sir.
Thank you, my brother. I have sat on it from the start to this time, and indeed I have learned a lot. All those who missed out this opportunity have themselves to blame. We sent a message to about 120,000, so I was expecting not less than 10,000, but yet I'm happy the journey has started. And those who took their time to listen to our professor, Dr. Dade to me, I have given him the professor because the man is too good. And in fact, just sitting under his feet for almost an hour is like being in the classroom for a year. So on behalf of my team, I want to thank Dr. Dade to me for such an exemplary presentation. You have really done well. And I want to use this opportunity to also thank our ambassador for giving us the opportunity. Well, our doctor pleaded for us, like an Oliver Twist, we need to ask for more. And since very soon, we are going to roll out a new batch. My appeal on behalf of the board and management will be that we start working towards having the same for the new batch. And it's part of our mandate that anytime we are rolling out a new batch, we do orientation for them. So this time around, I'll be discussing with the board so that we do a national orientation, Once they are new, none of them will lag behind. When they get onto the scheme and then they work with us for years, that is where it becomes difficult getting them. But if you catch them young, that is the best thing to do. So I thank you for the opportunity. I have learned a lot, and I know those who had opportunity to listen are going to be ambassadors. And I will even plead that we do another one again in the area of financial management before they leave. Because this one, they will be serving as ambassadors to be telling their own brothers what they have missed. And the message will go far. And once there's also going to be the opportunity of the availability of this information for those who could not have time, we will make sure we place it at a place where they can all access it. And once they will be accessing it, they will know the value and they will know what they have missed. So the next opportunity, all of them will roll on. And I can assure you that the next one, we will get not less than 20 to 30,000. So let's prepare ourselves for that. And also let's prepare ourselves to welcome the new batch, that is the 2023-2024 batch. I thank you for the opportunity, and our friendship is going to be sustained. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Director. We thank you very much for staying in even through the whole program. And several of the managers and leaders at the National Service Secretariat have joined in. Time will not permit us to acknowledge the tall list of managers across the districts and across the regions, but we want to thank all of you for having joined in this event. Let me do mention, as Director did emphasize, we would be continuing these webinars. They have come to stay. In fact, sometimes we would even hold them in person across the regions so that we can bring you all together and have these healthy engagements with you to prepare you for the future. And as Director did mention, one of the key areas we'll be venturing in is in financial management, how to be able to prepare for a future better than your present. Let me do mention that at the SALT Institute, we have a very unique style of mentoring our students, where students are not assigned mere academic supervisors, like we call it, and then they frustrate you with your dissertations and all. We call our supervisors mentors. So they mentor you both for your career, for your academic work, even for your social, moral life. They will be able to guide and lead you. If you have counseling issues you want to discuss with them, our unique mentorship system allows that. And even when you start work and you are having challenges in industry, and you need somebody to guide you in how to be able to manage the unwritten corporate rules that you find, the politics and all of that within the world of work, your mentor from school will continue in that trajectory with you. So you should consider enrolling in this place, and I'm sure that you will find it a great impact in your life indeed. Let me do emphasize that the evaluation forms which we posted in the link, and the technical team will post that again, that will grant us access to be able to provide you with certificates. We are going to issue certificates of participation to all attendees in this program. Let me remind you, we have several thousands of people who registered for this. Of course, we see about this, some very good numbers, and thank you to all those who joined across the regions. We've had, at some point we had in the thousands, but as the network begins to depreciate, the numbers kept dropping. But we're going to provide certificates for you, but the certificate will not be issued to you on the basis of registration. It is by completing the webinar link that will show us that you actually attended the program. So if you select the webinar link, it's a Google form link, which will be shared in the chat now on Facebook, on YouTube, on the Zoom webinar. If you select it and you complete the details, the evaluation also allows you to put your name as you will require it appearing on the certificate. Please put it in the order and be sure about the spelling. And please, because you are cut across the country, we cannot hand deliver certificates. Or if we ask you to pick it up from the SALT Institute or the National Service Secretariat, that may be a challenge. So the certificates will be digitally processed and emailed to you. So within the evaluation form, there's provision to key in your phone and your email address and your name as well. That should appear on the certificate. And you will receive this in just a few days. The link to the evaluation will close by 2 p.m. today. just to be sure that it doesn't stay forever and people who did not participate will be chasing us for certificates as well. So on that note, I will welcome one of your own, and let me thank myself. In fact, the NASPA president, Mr. Gideon Osei, he's been very supportive in coordinating today's event, and just to thank him on behalf of director and also on behalf of the SALT Institute. But one of the national executives is on this meeting, Nana Edu JV, I hope I got his name right, is the national secretary, and he would be offering the vote of thanks officially. So Nana, if you can hear me, please unmute and carry on.
Yes, sir, I can hear you. I hope that's fine with everyone.
Yes, we can hear you as well. Please go on. Nana is connecting from Takrady.
Yes, sir. I want to stand in the absence of the national president, Honorable Gideon Osei, to deliver this vote of thanks on behalf of the National Executive Committee of the National Service Personnel Association. Indeed, it's been a wonderful time with our lead facilitator and the rest of all the speakers on this space. We have learned a lot, not just myself, but then everyone who joined in. We've learned a lot, just like our executive director said, that just an hour with our lead facilitator is like a year in the classroom. I think we are very privileged to have a session like this for free, because some institutions, they render these services at a fee, and a lot of times at a very high prices and exorbitant ones. So for us as national service personnel to be able to have this opportunity to have a seminar like this for free, and even at the comfort of our homes, I think, yes, with myself and the rest of all the personnel who joined, and even those who missed it, I think this is indeed a great initiative. Just like our executive director said, we hope the next ones will cover some other topics that this one didn't cover. To our lead facilitator, like I've aforementioned, yes, we are very much to our national president, Honorable Gideon Osei, who engineered all these things. This has been the second time I've encountered. The first at the Accra International Conference Center. Very wonderful experience. The second time also a better experience. I hope that, like our executive director once again said, this partnership will go on and that we have much more to learn. To our personnel, the over 180,000 service personnel, and that we learned here, we will put it into use. We will make sure that we will revise these notes that we learned, and that we will get into the practicalities of it. And as we have just about a month or about 6 to 7 or 8 weeks to end our service, we hope that everything that we have learned all through the period, we will be able to apply them after service, and that as we are doing our best, we hope that our God also will bless us with the rest. So on behalf of the National Executive Committee, I want to thank the lead facilitator, SALT Institute, and our executive director for such a big honor and opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nana. And those were very kind words of you. And of course, these webinars, we intend for them to continue in our collaboration with the National Service Secretariat. Let me mention that these events hold a key to your brighter future, my friends. Keep learning, keep growing, keep striving for excellence. Always aspire to become better than what you already are today. And always remember that you are not alone. You are part of a very vibrant community of young talent and young minds, and learn, as our lead facilitator said, to network and work together with others so that we can all bring transformative change to our nation, Ghana. On this note, we thank everyone for joining, and we bring this webinar to a close. Thank you, and may God bless our homeland, Ghana. Thank you. Bye-bye.